Well, if you're just now tuning in, you're now watching the 139th Global Star Party, co-hosted by David Levy and Scott Roberts. It is our special honor to present the last Global Star Party of 2023. This is the 139th event, and we'll start fresh with the 140th event in January. But I think this will be a good send-off with the theme of celestial companions. Hello, everyone. This is Scott Roberts. Again, thank you for tuning in for the 139th Global Star Party. We are going to bring on a special guest who hasn't been on Global Star Party now for over a year, but he's given many inspiring lectures and presentations on Global Star Party, including, I think, some live views through his telescopes from his balcony. Pekka Haltala, thank you for coming on and saying a few words tonight.
Thanks, Scott. Really thanks. I won't show live views today because I took my setup down, but I do have one picture I captured today, actually, after almost 8 months. It took 8 months to take one picture, and that's my celestial company. That's the moon. And before I show the picture, I can tell you that I have been really sick and ill, and that's why I haven't been able to, I haven't have the strength to put my telescope on the mount and do some astronomy. And now I'm really good. I'm well. I have recovered of lung cancer, but I can advise you all who is listening that don't lose the hope, because if you have some hobby, keep on the hobby, because that small thing, if you collect some stamps or whatever, you have to, because that gives you the strength. But astronomy is something else. That's beyond your imagination, what you can do with astronomy. If you don't have telescope or binoculars or something, just look up in the sky and you see something that you belong to. You don't be afraid anymore about your illness or something. You just feel the void and the belongingness to all you see. And that is beyond your imagination. I have proofs that it heals, really, it heals. It sounds, if this is on news in Sweden or in US, everybody thinks maybe that, not true, but I am living proof that astronomy heals. Okay, now the picture I took today, I don't know, Scott, you have to guide me. Let me
no
see.
problem. You go down to the bottom of your Zoom platform and hit the green button. And before you start sharing, you'll find the segment that you want to share. You'll click on that and then you share the screen.
Okay, wait, I have to move this. If I can move this, okay, and share, and there, and there. Is it there?
It's right there. It's beautiful.
The moon. Can you see the moon?
Yes, we can.
Okay, that was the capture of today, and I was so happy. I was so happy to get this picture today, and I felt that I'm on track. This was the turning point for me today.
Wonderful. I
Yeah,
am so happy that you decided to come on and say hello to us and to share some of your astronomy with us, and to
I
tell
missed
us
you.
about your
I missed
journey.
all of you, you know,
We
but
missed you too.
my health, so I couldn't stay up so long
Hmm.
because it's 1 a.m. right now in Stockholm.
Yes.
So usually I have been in sleep for 4 hours right now.
Right.
But I thought, okay, this is my barrier. Stay up until you see your friends.
Great. Great. Well, thank you,
Thank you for
Pekka.
me, Scott.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thanks for saying hello to all of us. And
Yes,
we hope to see you back on again real soon.
I will be.
It's
Okay.
good to see you again, too.
Thank you, Dave.
Thank you.
Right. Okay. Well, uh, uh, the Global Star Party is co-hosted by David Levy and myself, and so it was really great to spend some time with him this weekend. It was a special moment, which David will talk about, but um, we're on Zoom all the time, but it's nothing replaces actually being in person. So thanks for being the perfect host, David. I had a really amazing time, a special time, a sacred time, and you know, and we got to share lots of stories and special moments in just a little bit of time. I was only there for a couple of days, but
Scott,
thanks again.
can I share with Dave one picture because I see that he has an orange. I think it's 5 inch.
It's a Celestron 90, and I've
It's
had this telescope
Three
since
and a half inch.
1979.
Can I share one of my babes to you?
Sure. Oh my goodness,
There
same
it is.
telescope.
Yes, two of them.
So yours is a 5, right?
That's a
The
C5.
orange is from 76.
Yeah.
Uh,
And
it's in mint condition with all accessories, bag, the case, and oculars from Japan, and it's guiding very well. And the black one is from 80s, I think. So this is my babies.
oh yeah, that's beautiful. And thanks for sharing it.
Yeah.
I got this, my telescope, I got about 1979, 1978, right after my practice wife and I split. I treated
Okay.
myself to this telescope, and I've had it ever
Okay.
since.
Because the orange one is something I saw when I was 10 years old. I saw an advertising with the from Star Trek, Spock. He was like showing this telescope, and I was thinking I will never ever get this telescope. And I found it on our we have some kind of magazine or net on internet that will sell stuff, and I found it and say I will buy it immediately.
Great. Congratulations.
Thank
May
you.
continue to get many, many enjoyable nights with it.
Yes, I have actually taken my first and ever picture of Saturnus we did with my mobile phone,
Yeah.
with that one, with the orange one. So I will keep it to my grandson and his sons. So it will be in the family forever.
Oh, that's a wonderful thought. Thank you for sharing
Yes,
that
it
with us.
will be my gift to my grandson.
Thank you.
Wonderful. That's great.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Dave.
Okay.
Okay, Scott, keep on.
All right. Take care.
Take
Go
care.
get some
Yeah,
good rest. We'll see you, Pekka.
yeah.
All right. David, it's all yours.
Why, thank you, Scotty. I want to tell you a little bit about last weekend. We're talking about celestial companions as the theme of the Global Star Party this tonight. And the companions that I had in mind with were not the celestial ones, like Pekka was just mentioning, Mr. Spock. And did you know that there is a real star in the sky that the fictitious planet Vulcan orbits? And that is a constellation. I believe it's a star that's in Monoceros, the unicorn, and it is very interesting. It is a star with a companion that is easily splittable, and a third star, a tertiary star, which is a red dwarf. And we see very few red dwarfs because they're so small and they emit so little light that they're hard to see unless they're really close. But one of them is this star near, not just west of Orion. And what I want to say is that it is the home, the real home of the fictitious planet Vulcan. I got to meet Leonard Nimoy once. Wendy and I were at Lowell Observatory, and we got to meet Leonard, and he was having a rough day, but it was good to meet him, and I think we had a good meeting together. And which brings me to the real theme of Celestial Companions. I want to tell you a little bit about Wendy. Last Sunday, we did the ceremony for the unveiling of Wendy's tombstone, and we had so many people there. There were about 20 or so people, not that many, but a lot of them were from our local astronomy club, the Tucson Amateur Astronomy Association. And we had Marty Cohen, who is a very fine physician and active with the synagogue that I'm a member of. And we had our rabbi who conducted the service, and he did it absolutely brilliantly. And Dean Koenig was there. And I need to mention Dean especially because he's the owner of Starzona. And Scotty, I hope you don't mind me giving him a free plug here.
No problem.
But Starzona, Dean is such a good friend, and I really enjoy being with him. But I was definitely planning on funding that lunch that we had afterwards. We went to Saguaro Corners restaurant,
Yes.
which
It
was
was a
really
great
good.
restaurant. Yes.
First time I was there was my first visit to Tucson in 1963, and the restaurant had opened just about 10 years earlier than that. So it was already established then, and it is still established now. Anyway, I was enjoying this, and the waitress came out and said, "Is this going to be separate checks or one check?" And right away I said one check, and I think people looked at me as if I was crazy. Well, I might be crazy, but that's what I had planned to do. And I spent a good part of the meeting wondering what people would be ordering and how much, and how much that bill would be. And I was planning kind of to use half of it on my debit card and the other half on a credit card. And I thought that would be all right. Anyway, when the bill came, it was about a quarter of what I thought it would be. Couldn't believe it. I gave the lady my debit card. She went out and brought it back incomplete. I said, "What happened to the debit card?" And she said, "Nothing. It's paid for." I said, "You're kidding." She said, "One of your friends wants to keep it a secret, paid for it, the whole thing." And I couldn't believe it. And we were having a nice conversation. It was going on. And finally, I was looking at Dean, and I thought, Dean is the most generous person I've met in a long time. And I went over and sat next to him, and I said, "You paid for this, didn't you?" And he said, "Yeah." He said, "I couldn't let you do it." And talking with my brother yesterday, after Scotty went back to Arkansas, and I told him about the story, and he said, "Gosh, you got wonderful friends, don't you?" And that is the thesis and the theme of tonight's star party. And Wendy was really my closest friend. We started getting together shortly after Shoemaker '89, and we met in 1992 before the discovery of SL9. And then as soon as I found out that it was going to collide with Jupiter, I realized that I had to stop seeing anybody. And so I decided that I would stop.
David said, "Good evening.
I
We're
would,
better. Out for our first outing in weeks. I did get your Skyward. Hope we're recovered from Sunday."
anyway, that's the message. Sorry about that. My telephone, I'm going to take this telephone and I'm going to throw it out the window. Crash, tinkle, tinkle. Did you hear that, David? It went into your window. Anyway, that's what I do with my computer when it doesn't work. I close it and throw it out the window, and God, it feels good. And it still works. It's doing fine. It's Windows 11, self-replicating, self-repairing, and it's wonderful. But getting back to Wendy, we were a fix-up. My mom and Wendy's mom got together after many years absence. Their friendship had begun when they were both counselors, swimming counselors at Camp Moden in Maine. And years and years later, Annette came back to Montreal and she called my mom, and they resumed their friendship. And of course, they decided we need to get some of our children together. And it turned out that I had been living in Arizona, and that Annette's daughter Wendy was living in New Mexico in Las Cruces. And Annette said, "We got to get those two together." And so the next time I was in Montreal, Mom suggested that I get in touch with Wendy. And boy, I jumped at that opportunity. I didn't waste any time. 7 years later, I finally got in touch with Wendy. And it was only after Mom had asked about umpteen times if I had bothered to get in touch with Wendy yet. And each time I said, "Not yet," until finally, after the 7th year, she said, "David, please forget I ever bothered you with this. I'm sorry I interfered with your life. I know you're not going to, so forget I ever mentioned it." I took that as a challenge. I decided I was going to do something. And the minute I got home that night, I sent her a letter. I typed a letter on a postcard and sent it to her. And Wendy answered. And we decided to meet in July. And I got to the house where she was staying, and she opened the door, and she was dressed in her summer outfit. And I did not fall in love with her. It was not love at first sight, but I certainly noticed that here was a gorgeous, lovely looking young woman. And we got together, and we had lunch. And then when we got back, she wanted me to be introduced to her sisters, who were almost as beautiful as she was. We had a wonderful conversation. When we got back to two other celestial companions that I could talk about, Clyde and Patsy Tombaugh. Patsy answered the door and she said, "Well, how did your date go?" And I just stopped at the door and I said, "Patsy, I've just had lunch with the three most beautiful women I have ever met in my life." and I knew this was gonna go somewhere. I let it go during SL9, but after that, I got back in touch with her, asked if she wanted to see me again, and she said yeah, and we got together, and we saw an eclipse of the moon. It was in December '92. That was before SL9, and we saw other things as well. I gave a lecture to her class, to her school, and all the teachers, we was in the gymnasium, and all the teachers were there with all the kids in the school. And I was talking about Shoemaker leaving nine and its impact with Jupiter. And the subject of Wendy came up, and Wendy was there. And one of the teachers said, and one of the kids had asked about my future. And then the teacher right away said, "It's David and Wendy." And we all had a good laugh over that, especially Wendy and me. But there was a story that took place. I got out of the car one night. We were driving. We stopped the car. I got out, and I asked Wendy to get out, and I pointed out Vega. It was fairly prominent in the summer sky, and she looked at Vega, and it was the first star I'd ever seen through a pair of binoculars back in 1960. And then I looked I looked towards her because she was kind of quiet for a minute or so. And I said, "Is anything wrong?" And she said, "I want to ask you a question. If I were to ask you every night, what star is that? What would you do?" And I quietly looked at her and I said, "Wendy, I would stop what I was doing and I would show you that star every single night. And I would never, ever get tired of it." And she said, "He got some points for that." And the reason that she thought that was that her first husband had a rule. She said, I'll answer your questions once, but if you ask me again, you're on your own." With David, that was not the case. And I told her that I would point out Vega a million times if necessary, but I never needed to again. And we got very close. And I remember visiting Montreal in 1996. And when I was at McGill University, I was working on the student newspaper as one of the contributors, one of the editors, and that was called the McGill Daily. It's the oldest, most student newspaper in Canada. And they were having their celebration, and I was there. When I got back, Mom was still up, and we sort of had some tea together. And she said, "So, is there anything that you have to tell me?" And I said, "Yes." And she said, "What do you have to tell me? It wouldn't be about a certain girl, would it?" And I said, "Yes, it would." And she says, "Excuse me, I'm getting kind of excited. You got to tell me." And I said, "Mom, Wendy and I are going to get together." And she said, "You're kidding." And I said, "I'm not kidding. And we're going to get together. I'm going to propose to her. And I believe if she wants to accept, then we're going to get married." And Mom said, "Would you mind if I just jumped up and danced on the table a little bit? Because I wanted so badly for you two to get together." She came to the wedding in 1997, and was, of course, when she came to the wedding, she was married to me. And but Mom was there. A few months into our marriage, I developed prostate cancer, and I got had to get a biopsy to confirm that it was cancerous. And he took the tumor, the little bit, the biopsy, and Wendy was talking with him and said, "When will you have the result for David's test?" And he said, "It'll be a couple of days." And then the doctor kind of looked at her and looked at the biopsy, and he said, "Your husband's name is David Levy, right?" "Yeah." would he by any chance be the same? And Wendy nodded her head with a big smile on her head. And Sheldon said, I should have kept the glove. Anyway, it was such a beautiful story, and we've become friends, and we're still friends all these years later. Sheldon came to visit Wendy in her last days. He came to the unveiling the other day, and it was just a beautiful thing. I know that there are going to be other people here who will be talking about their celestial companions, but I just wanted to get started with someone who meant the world to me, and I miss her so incredibly much. Not an hour ago, just before logging in to tonight's Global Start Party, I was listening to our local classical station, and they put on Wagner's Tannhäuser Overture, and that is one of my favorite pieces of music. I had to stop, sit down, and listen to it. And by the end of it, I was crying my eyes out. But it is so beautiful. And so that brings us to the poem, which I'm going to quote from you today. And it was Wendy's favorite poem. It's the ending of of the Song of Honor, which Ralph Hodgson wrote in 1917. And it goes like this. I stood and stared. The sky was lit. The sky was stars all over it. I stood. I knew not why. Without a wish, without a will, I stood upon that silent hill and stared into the sky until my eyes were blind with stars, and still I stared into the sky. Thank you, Scotty, and back to you.
Okay. Okay. All right. So a while ago, I
Scott,
had.
can I interrupt
Yes.
you? Just, I want to show a picture for Dave. Just one picture. If this will reminds him.
Oh my goodness, that's him.
That's him.
That's Leonard. Oh, I miss him too.
Yes.
He was brilliant, and he got more brilliant as he got older.
Yeah.
Right. Explore the
Yeah.
real universe.
As the real universe.
That's
Thank you for
awesome.
sharing that
That's
picture of
awesome.
Leonard with us.
Yeah.
Yep.
You're welcome, Dave. And I'm really so sorry for your loss.
Thank you. I hope we'll get together in person sometime.
Yes, indeed.
Okay.
Go ahead, Scott.
Okay. All right. So a while back, I had done an interview with David and Wendy Levy, and so we're going to play that, and you'll get to know. If you didn't know Wendy, you'll get to know her a little bit better now. So here we go.
And then I had the good fortune to join Gene and Carolyn Shoemaker, who I finally got to meet after many, many years. After Dr. Stevens wanted me to meet him, I finally got to meet him. I actually started to observe with him and Carolyn. We found a total of, I think, 13 comets together that we shared together, the most famous of which is Comet Shoemaker-Levy 9. And this is probably going to be the first and only time I'm going to mention that comet in this particular presentation. But that was certainly the highlight of my professional career. And after that was over, I began to think, the marriage that I was getting ready for when I observed the Lyrids in 1975, that was not to last very long. It broke up a few months afterwards, although we soldiered on for a couple of years before finally we split up. But after SL9, I was getting together with Wendy. And Wendy and I were fixing. My mom decided that she wanted to get her son David to date somebody, anybody. And she knew that she knew that one of her best friends, Annette Wallach, had a daughter named Wendy. And Annette wanted Wendy to get in touch with me, and Mom wanted me to get in touch with Wendy. And I jumped on that so fast, it was lickety-split instantaneously. How many years it was? 5 or more years later, 1985 or 6 to 1992. Finally, I mean, every now and then Mom would say, "Did you ever get in touch with Wendy yet?" "Oh, no, I haven't gotten around to it." And finally, she said, forget the whole thing. And when Mom says that, I take that as a warning. And that I decided I'm going to do it. And I wrote to her. She wrote back the nicest, most pleasant letter. Decided I'd love to meet her. And she was living in Las Cruces, New Mexico at the time. We got together, and I got to meet the 3 most beautiful women I've ever seen in my life. They were Wendy, her sister Joni, and her older sister Gail, there at her house. Wendy and I went out for our lunch date, and then we went back, and I talked with the 3 of them for a while. And we started to see each other just as friends, nothing more than that. And then came the discovery the next year of Comet Shoemaker Levy 9 and its potential impact with Jupiter. And I decided that, well, this is happening. I need to concentrate on my career. And as soon as that was over, I thought, well, maybe it's time to go back again and reconnect with Wendy, which I did. And I went to Las Cruces, gave a talk to her, one of her classes at school. She was a teacher. And that was so much fun. On the way home, I remember thinking to myself, I will never, ever go to Las Cruces again without visiting with Wendy. And then Wendy wrote to me and she said, well, instead of dinner at home. And I said, yeah, that would be fun. And so we did that. We had a very wonderful dinner. And but then I thought, maybe it's time to get her out here, out to Tucson. And we were talking over the phone, and I said, well, guess what? I just picked up some papers here, and I'm noticing a special letter that came in. You have just won a free trip to Tucson. And she said, oh, really? And I said, yes. At the time of your choosing, you will get on a plane, and I will meet you at the airport, and you'll stay with me. And we had a wonderful visit. But it looked like things were going to fall apart on the last day. We were talking, and suddenly Wendy grew very quiet, and she started to not cry, but get very sad. And I said, what's the matter? Got very, not sad, but serious. And she said, I don't know. I can't imagine how you and I are ever going to get together. I'd love to, but I don't think we're ever going to be able to. Now, I think that you need to get together with somebody. If you don't get together with someone, and this was the key line, what you're going to have when you get older is you'll have nothing but your ice comets to snuggle up to.
Oh.
And I listened to this, and right away, I was in love. We embraced. We must have lay on the couch for like 20 minutes or so, and that was it. We had a relationship, and we got married in 1997, and we just passed our 23rd wedding anniversary.
All right. Congratulations.
And so hopefully this COVID-19 thing will be over in time for our 25th anniversary. I'd like to go on a cruise or something with her to celebrate a quarter century of our lives together. Anyway, all of the material that I've talked about, plus an awful lot more, is in this book, A Night Watchman's Journey. It is published by the Royal Astronomical Society of Canada, and you can get it anywhere by logging on to their website. Just look up Royal Astronomical Society of Canada, or in the United States, you can get it from Starizona, starizona.com, and you can get it. You can get a copy there. And at some point, I'll get to see you, and I'd be glad to autograph it for you. But as I was finishing this book, Wendy was saying, "It's time for you to write another book." And I said, "I don't want to write another book." And she said, "Yes, you do." And she picked up a copy of this. This is a book that I wrote when I was 10 years old. It's called Clipper. And it's about the beagle that we had when I was 10 years old. And we had him for almost 20 years. He was a wonderful little dog, really loved him. I've already explained how the night I started comet hunting, I was walking him up Sunnyside Avenue and then turned around as the sky cleared so I could begin my search for comets. But I would now like to introduce Wendy, who is going to talk to you a little bit about a new book that I'm working on right now. And we have to bring the chair.
Ooh. Where do I look? I see Scotty smiling.
For you,
Hi, Scotty.
Wendy.
I'm embarrassed. David went into some really personal stuff. I thought we'd never be sharing.
And now it's all out on the internet.
I know. I mean, that was a long embrace, but I thought, here are two middle-aged people, look stupid, but who's seeing us anyway? And then David describes this thing. I thought, oh no.
Okay, so just so you guys know, I mean, there's a lot of your friends that are online right now. Okay.
And giggling right along with me.
Saying hello. So people like Tracy Prell and Mark Tovey and Gary Boyle and just these people. So Ed Gunther's on.
Don't forget Martha. I know she's on. She told me.
Yeah, yeah. So it's nice and it's great to be able to spend some time with you during this time when everybody's staying at home, so.
I know. What else do you have to do? And fortunately, David and I like each other well enough that we can spend this time together and have a good time anyway.
Right, that's right.
But I digress. The book David wants me to talk about is Clipper. When I found his original book, for those of you that have ever been at our house, the few of you that are listening, I was putting some of his books away. He has a special armoire dedicated to his writings. And I noticed this little book, and right now what David showed you is where I took the original copy and made it safer because the pages are all falling apart. And I looked at it and I went, huh? What's this? And I started reading about a boy and his dog, and it was enchanting. And then when David told me he wrote it when he was 10, it became even more enchanting because if people can you see the writing on, even if you can't read it? Can you tell that it's original typewriter, typed with a typewriter that had a ribbon, not a cartridge, but a ribbon. So if there was a mistake, you could see where David overtyped. If he did not know how to spell a word, you could see where he spelled it phonetically. Mm-hmm. And you could tell it was a little boy and his dog in the stories that they told. And all I could do was grin and laugh because it was so David. And then we talked about it. I said, you realize later on in life, when all your books go someplace special, the one that's going to be the most important is Clipper, your first book. And he wrote he writes a monthly column for our local little Vale Voice newspaper. And in one of those columns, he described one of the chapters in Clipper. And then he got a whole bunch of emails, mostly from friends and family, going, oh, that sounds like it could be a great book. And so finally we said, okay. And now what David has done is resurrect generally speaking, the relationship between the boy and his dog, and then a few friends that came along. So there are two main characters in the book, and that's Stephen, who really is David, but for some reason he liked the name Stephen, and his dog Clipper. Now, Clipper is like the mentor. He doesn't do a lot of teaching, but he makes sure you're there to see it. And then they come across one of his classmates in school, Kaya, who was going, "This sounds exciting. Can I come too?" And they're going, "Yes." And then they're in the way they transport from one place to another is through David's telescope. So they look at where they're going to go, and then as David writes it in the book, whoosh, they're there. And it's time and space and distance makes no difference. They're there, even if for us it's an inhospitable place like Jupiter, which they haven't gotten to yet. They can be there safely. And then while they're there, it turned out Stephen had another mentor that came to him in a dream, and she became a character in the book, and she's the teacher, and her name is Tanya. And the way she appeared to David in his dream is even more charming. It's really a child's book. She's a grocery bag, like the old paper grocery bags with a head and arms and legs. And but when they go somewhere and the kids are going, "Oh, what's this?" She's the one that explains what everything is. And we're working on this book so it could be read by upper elementary, even middle school age kids, or people who just want to get into a little bit of astronomy because it's a tease. I won't let David go too far because he's so locked into really explaining things that I'm thinking, oh no, this is the age level I taught. You're going to lose them here. Stop here, let them get excited and go somewhere else to get the information. And he's going, okay. So we've been working on the book, and I'm keeping his feet on the ground. I'm keeping it to the kids' levels and more or less readable because I am not an official copy editor. I'm the one that makes it so the real copy editor can read the book and it makes sense. And then my sister, who's done a little bit of artwork and calligraphy and everything, we said, how would you like to do some of the pictures in the book? And she went, oh, yes. So it's like a family group project putting this together. We have no idea when it will be published or who will publish it or if we're even just going to self-publish the book. Right now, we're just having fun putting the book together. So that's the book. And I will give it the floor back to David. Hi, everybody that I know out there, even if we didn't mention your name, because I think Mark Zatarsky is supposed to be here too.
Okay. That was wonderful. It was great to see Wendy again and to hear her voice. And David, I want to thank you for sharing that with us and letting me rebroadcast that that very special time during we were at the peak of COVID at that time, and so it was wonderful.
I am so glad that you did that, Scotty. It was meant so much to me, and I hope everyone else enjoyed it as well. And some of the stories that Wendy had to say and that I had to say in the beginning were repeats of what I said in the live version earlier. But anyway, if you could make sure that I have a copy of that video so I
Sure
can
will.
watch it over again, I'd appreciate it. Thank you so much, Scotty.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Is
Okay.
that book for buying, Dave? The book, is that on sale?
I didn't quite catch that.
Okay, is that book for sale? Can I
Yes. Yeah.
buy the Skipper book?
I put that. I put a link up. It's available right now on Amazon.com. And so if you look at the chat on YouTube or Facebook, it's there. But I can send it to you too.
Thank you.
I'll do that. Okay.
Have you thought, Dave, to translate it because that is a perfect child book?
Thank you. And if you or someone would like to arrange for it to be translated, that would be perfect. I would love to see that happen.
To Finnish and Swedish. because it's so wonderful story.
I know a guy who might be able to help us with that, David.
Certainly in for that. I'm certainly in for that. And thank you so much. I got to say, I'm not the only one that's come out with a children's book. My friend David Eicher, who is right here, also has a book for children that he has done. And I'd like to imagine in the middle of the night, the two dead books got up to fight, mine and David's. But in the end of the fight, they just started laughing and cackling and decided to be friends, which was much, much better than fighting.
Do children's books fight, or do they just
Yeah, you remember the
play
two
to
dead
the
books?
audience that they're sold together as a pair and that everyone reads everything? I don't know.
I think they're sold together as a pair, and everybody.
Okay.
Back
I
to
think
back
it's
and
how it
faced
goes.
each other, drew their swords, and shot each other. A deaf policeman heard the
I
noise and came,
got that. I think
killed the two dead books. It's all yours, David. Thank you so much for coming on to Global Star Party.
Thank you. And I would like to once again whittle away on this list of strange and challenging objects that we have to look at. So I will share my screen and see if I can share the right screen, and once again see if you can uh-oh, now I'm oh dear. Can I move this thing? No, I can't. Let me see if I can start the slideshow. There we go.
There
Okay.
you are.
The banner is in the way of things there. Nonetheless, if you can see Centaurus A, we're in business again, and that's not what I'm going to talk about tonight, though. We are working our way through hundreds of objects, as long as Scotty will put up with this, and we've gotten all the way now in the northern sky to the Draco Dwarf Galaxy. And as you may well know, the local group of galaxies, as it was named with innovation by Edwin Hubble in 1936, one of at least 55 galaxies in our local group is the Draco Dwarf, possibly as many as 100, because as David was talking about, not only are dwarf stars difficult to see because they're faint and it's hard to see them over long distance scales, but dwarf galaxies are hard to see because they're faint, and also a lot of them are obscured probably by the disk of the Milky Way. So there may be many more than 55 galaxies in our local group, but that's the base number. The Draco Dwarf is a dwarf spheroidal satellite of our galaxy. It's about 260,000 light years away. And it was discovered by Albert Wilson at, of all places, Lowell Observatory, where this was before Leonard Nimoy was there in 1954. And on Palomar Sky Survey plates, it was found there at Lowell. It's a faint target. It has a relatively bright magnitude, V magnitude of 10.9, but it's really a poor galaxy in terms of its stellar population, a fairly slight smattering of stars. And it has very little central condensation, as you'll see in an image here, although it's fairly large. It's about the size of the full moon on the sky altogether, but it looks much smaller than that because of its poor nature of its stellar population. Well, in 1961, the great collaborator to Edwin Hubble and others, Walter Baade and Henrietta Swope, they found more than 260 variable stars in this galaxy, which is one thing that makes it an interesting object in the local group. All but 5 of those are Lyrae stars, these pulsating horizontal branch stars that are very good distance indicators as standard candles because their behavior is very well known. 3 years later, our pal Paul Hodge, who was around until relatively recent times, one of the great authorities on galaxies, and especially on the Magellanic Clouds, among others, he studied this galaxy and he found its shape was significantly elliptical, and it has a huge amount of dark matter for a dwarf galaxy. In fact, it's one of the richest galaxies known in terms of its percentage of dark matter. And it's not exactly entirely sure why that is to this day, although of course now we know, courtesy all the way back to the irascible Fritz Zwicky in 1933 that dark matter is a major component of the universe. And of course, leading up 30 years later to the Carnegie team led by Vera Rubin, who really got the significant evidence for dark matter in the universe. So, courtesy of our pal Ron Stoyan's great star atlas here, the Interstellarium Atlas, here's the area of the Draco Dwarf, and you can see there are all sorts of galaxies in northern Draco near it as well. And this is an image of that's a really high-end amateur image of the Draco Dwarf. And you can see it's in a relatively rich star field, but it's a pretty poor galaxy in terms of bright stars there. It's very difficult visually. You need to be in a very dark sky to see it as a visual object, and with a pretty healthy sized Dobsonian, I would say, to see it visually, but it's a little bit easier, of course, as is everything, to image in this day and age. So that's it, the Draco Dwarf. There's not a great deal to say about it. I will say there's another group of surprises now coming from Astronomy magazine on the horizon. The February issue, which you'll see in a few weeks now, has our top 10 space stories of the year package, as we do each year. And I will briefly put in a plug for the Starmus Festival, which is now, before we know it, we're going to have the turn of a new year. We're going to have the Astronomy Magazine Tucson Star Party out there near David's house in Tucson, at which David Levy will be speaking, we're proud to say. And the downside of that is I'm also speaking there, and Michael Bakich as well. But we'll have some fun there just around the corner. And then before we know it, we'll have an eclipse of the sun in the United States. And right after that, the Starmus Festival in Slovakia, a hop, skip, and a jump from Vienna, Austria. We hope that you'll be able to join us there. We'll have more than 50 speakers, many Nobel Prize laureates there, many astronaut explorers, some entertainers, and a lot of rock and roll music, a star party put on by our pal Scott Roberts of Explore Scientific. And among the speakers there will be myself as a member of the Starmus board, and also Dr. David Levy will be there. So a whole lot of things will wrap up there in the spring at Starmus right after that period of our eclipse. So that's it. That's all I have tonight. I will stop sharing the screen. Scott, thanks for having me as always. We're looking forward to a big year with a great total eclipse next year, and also the 7th Starmus Festival.
That's right.
Well, David, I just wanted to say how special that was. And excuse me. Anyway, what I wanted to say is that celestial companions, which is our theme tonight, are the people that we talked about and the galaxies we talked about. I had no idea that galaxies could be so friendly and so pleasurable to look at as they are. And going outside in the last year and looking at M31 and some of the other objects that David has recommended, including this one, which I have not yet seen, is a very, very special thing to do. But it brings me back to Starlight Nights in 1965, when Wesley Peltier really made the point and drove it home that the night sky was friends. And he started it by reading that book called The Friendly Stars that he checked out of a library, and eventually it was given to him. And I now have a copy of it. And but then the idea of seeing things in the sky as your personal friends, it came down from Peltier, and I still believe that. And more than anything else, that has helped me so much in the last year. Thank you, David. And thank you for making this star party even better. Thanks.
Thank you, David. And you're right. I mean, galaxies get together in pairs and in groups by gravity, we get together as friends in pairs and in groups of friends because we like each other and we care about the planet we're on and the universe and sharing that knowledge. And it's a great pleasure to be friends with all of you, including David and Scott and all of your support tonight. So
And all the
bless
friends
you.
we have watching here. It's great
Yeah.
too. So, yeah, that's what this is all about.
That's right.
So thank you. Thank you very much. We will transition here to Don Nab from the Astronomical League. Don is has been giving us several presentations over the last, I think, 2 years at this point, and
Right.
so, and I just admire what the Astronomical League does with all their observing programs, with all their awards, with their 75 years of astronomy outreach. And that's what you're going to be talking about tonight, I think.
Yeah, all about our outreach efforts and outreach resources. Yeah, yeah.
Great. Well, it's all yours. Thank you, Don.
Okay. But before I start, I have to mention how many people have a little Christmas tree sitting on top of a 12-inch Dobsonian in their living room. So
Not too many.
not too many. All right, I'm going to share my screen. Okay, I will start the slideshow. Coming through okay?
Coming through perfect.
All right, so when I saw the theme, I thought this is perfect for the Astronomical League because you know, observing with companions and sharing the sky, it's one of the pillars really of the Astronomical League. And we do it through public outreach. Okay, so here's a shot from NOVAC, the Northern Virginia Astronomy Club. I think last I heard, NOVAC is around 1,000 members, something like that. So it's probably, I'm guessing, the largest club in the league. I'm not certain of that, but it almost have to be. But this is from their Astronomy Day page on their website. But really, this is one of the true pillars of the Astronomical League. I mean, certainly we support individual observing and night sky preservation and education, but outreach is, at least for me, really what we're all about. So there's lots of resources that the league has that can support this. And I'm going to show you those tonight. And as John Goss, who was on last 2 weeks, I think, states in his top 10 reasons for stargazing, it's experiencing the oh wow moment of seeing something astounding. And so I call this, I think, as sharing the power of awe. And I'm sure David Levy's familiar with the power of awe, with all the comets he's discovered. Shoemaker-Levy 9, that had to be a major moment of awe when you find those things. So
Absolutely. Absolutely, Don.
Yep, we want to share the power of awe with as many people as we can. And that's really what motivates a lot of us in the Astronomical League. And recent research is done at it's been done at the University of California in Berkeley, has shown that when people experience awe in their lives, they have less stress, less health issues, and greater well-being. You can actually measure awe. I won't go into details, but there's a good article I recently read from a newsletter from UC Berkeley. And there's a lot of research going into awe. There's a book's been published. So, and that's what we do at night sky events. We seek to share the awe we experience when seeing beautiful objects in the night sky. So there's lots of resources, and I just want to give a quick overview, and that won't be too long. But this is on the league website. Now, my original intent was to do a live demonstration on the website. Well, anyone out there who's used Zoom very much and has shared screens knows that if you start sharing a screen and then share another screen and then download a PDF and have to leave that share to another share, it's not long and you have no idea which screen you're actually sharing, which screen is the active screen for Zoom. So what I did instead was take screenshots from the Astronomical League website and put them into the PowerPoint, because otherwise I tried 4 times to get this straightened out and I couldn't get it. You just lose track of which is the active screen. So this is the homepage of the website. And, the website is probably 75, 85% finished. It's not all finished, but it's getting in pretty good shape. So the first page I'll take a quick look at is if I will click on the About Us, it takes us to here. There's a lot of information here. But we're not going to look at this very long because the ones that we're really interested in, there's a lot of background stuff, history, membership, regions. We don't need to spend time on it. The outreach resources are really at the bottom of the website page. And almost everything that's above there is also at the bottom. So these are the things I'll spend a quick moment on because these items are the ones that provide outreach resources, not to the league, but to everybody. Anyone can go to the website and get these resources. You don't have to be an Astronomical League member. You don't need to be a club member. Anyone can use these resources. They are free for the taking. So Astronomy Day is the first thing I'll talk about. This started in Northern California, 1973. Eventually it became 2 days. It started with a spring day and became a fall day. And almost every club that I'm aware of, and I'm in 4 of them, and a lot of the clubs in Merrill, including Novak, do a spring and fall astronomy day event. Now, if you scroll down here, and not all this is updated, the events is not updated, but there's some great information here. And if you look at this one down here, that is the free Astronomy Day handbook to plan events. You click on that link, it takes you to this page. Click on this link, and it brings you to a handbook. And I'd like to point out, there is someone very familiar here who wrote this Astronomy Day handbook, Mr. David Levy. So we thank you for this, David. So this was up to date in 2017. So here we see David's everywhere. Thank you for this.
And thank you for
So the next thing at the bottom I'll go into is conventions. Of course, we always have the conventions. Next year is going to be in Kansas City, July 17 to 20. Another great way to share the night sky and share our knowledge and share our experience with anyone in the public can go to this. Further down the list at the bottom, the Library Telescope Program. This is a wonderful program. This is where a local club will buy a scope, or perhaps a library will buy a scope, and then a local astronomy club will take that scope and make it, let's say, not bulletproof, but certainly more sturdy, less able to be fiddled with. There's a zoom eyepiece fitted to the scope that is actually screwed in so it can't be taken out. The collimation screws at the back are covered so they can't be twiddled with and fiddled with. So there's a number of modifications done to it. And then the scope gets checked out of a library just like a book. So the people who would at no other time in their life have a chance to use a telescope now have a chance to become familiar with the sky and to gain their own celestial companions in the sky. It's a great program. Night sky tools. I think we have John Goss to thank for this, but every month the new sky guides are posted. So if you would come down here and click on one of these, you come to this. And this is from John Goss. He does this every month tirelessly. It's just a very nice, very simple, but very nice guide to the night sky. And not only in English, he puts it out in Spanish. So we can reach even another segment of the population to share the night sky with. And he also includes a couple. In fact, anyone who watched GSP last week will recognize this. This is what John talked about, was the eclipsing of Ganymede behind Jupiter's shadow. So here is all the information. It's, again, free for everyone to take. And there's some upcoming events. I guess one happening tonight yet. Okay, the next thing is the observing program. Now, this is more of what typically is done by a solar observer when you sort of like a scavenger hunt for the sky. And there's about 80 of these, I think, that you can find, like the Messier objects, Constellation Hunter, Asterism. But if you scroll down the page, you know, every one of these I think is individual, except for this one, the Outreach Observing Award. Outreach is so important to the AL that we make an award just for it. And when you click on that, you get to, this goes down several pages, but this is for astronomers who take the time to prevent either 10 for the basic level, 60 for the second level, or a total of 160 hours of outreach to the public. So that's how important this is to the AL, to reach the public and share the night sky. Not only is there things here for everybody in the public, but also there's aid here in this website for societies. Things like how to get more members, how to make your meetings better, how to advertise your club to reach more people in the public. Now, probably my favorite part of the available resources is the outreach downloads. These things are available for anyone, and you can sometimes print even things as large as banners, but these are things you can hand out at star parties. I really love this one. What telescope is best for me? It summarizes a very complex question to the one page that gives people something to think about. And a lot of times we get those questions at a star party. What kind of telescope should I buy? So here's a great thing they can use. Or how do I find things? Here's how to find celestial objects. And then even though there's every month a sky chart available, there's also a simplified one just for the season. There's also a spring navigating the sky. But this is something anyone can download and can be shared. Or so here's one, where are we in the galaxy? Here's our galaxy. Here's where we are. And then it zooms in and zooms in some more. So, and you can hand these out at star parties, but what we have done more recently, the club I'm in, we take one sheet. I created this to hand out to people. Rather than hand out 6 sheets, you hand out this one. And if they scan this QR code, it goes to our website. If you scan this one, it goes to the Astronomical League website, and people can then download whatever they think they want. Or you can go to skymaps.com from this QR code, or what's out tonight. So you can reach people very quickly this way, and you don't have to you don't have to cut down a lot of trees for people to get what they want. All right, the last thing I have, another credit to John Goss, past president of the league. And this is a graphic he sent me called The Night of the Solstice, which is happening 2 nights from tonight at 9:27 Central Time. So his gear was all loaded. With a wink of an eye, he sprang to the sleigh and flew off in the sky. We heard him exclaim as he drove out of sight, happy viewing to all, and to all a clear night. So the questions he leaves us with is, why is this scene so controversial? Is it A, the moon should not be full, but a waxing gibbous phase instead? Is it B, a reindeer is missing, maybe one with a red nose? And why would Santa really commandeer the International Space Station for his sleigh? So I'll let you pick which one is right, but because I'll tell you, they're all correct. So thank you to John Goss for that. And I will stop my share.
Well, thank you, Don. I was listening to this, and I'm just finding this particular star party just mesmerizing, with David's lecture and Don's just now. But one of the things that struck me, Don, was your mention about a library. When I was a patient at the Jewish National Home for Asthmatic Children in Denver as a kid, I had a tutor there, and one day he said, "How many books does it take to make a library?" And I had no idea. He says, 2. 1 book is a book. 2 books, you got a library. And it's 2 books to make a library like the one I have here, up to 175 million books that are in the Library of Congress. And I wanted to take this opportunity, and I think the Astronomical League would appreciate knowing this, that Carla Hayden is the current librarian of the Library of Congress, and she has been that way since 2016. One of the reasons that I really wanted to do this is that on the 6th of January of 2021, I woke up and I said to Wendy that today we're going to watch television and learn a little bit about how the government of the United States works. That didn't quite turn out that way. We turned on the television, and right away there was this banner on the screen that said, one building, the Jefferson building of the Library of Congress, is being evacuated. And right away I looked at that and I said, "Wendy, sweetie, I think you need to come here and watch this," which she did. And a couple of minutes later, they evacuated all the other buildings of the library. And, as much as what happened on January the 6th really got to us all, it really got to me because of the library. because of the fact that the library was the first building in danger of that day. And I wrote a little bit about it, and it is my hope and prayer that the library is never again subject to the dangers that it was on that day. And in honor of that, and partly of this woman's beautiful stewardship of the Library of Congress, the International Astronomical Union has announced today that an asteroid in the sky is being named Carla Hayden.
Oh, wow.
And I just wanted to share that with
That's
you.
awesome.
Don, thank you. God bless you. Happy New Year. May the rest of your year, the Christmas season, be a total success and happiness for you and your family and your friends.
Thank you, David. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for that handbook.
And what great news. That's wonderful. Okay. All right. So up next, and thanks to the Astronomical League again for all their great support of Global Star Party. Up next is Prenvera Hysini, and she recently came back from the American Geophysical Union, and she wanted to give us a little update of what's going on there. And I suppose she gave a fantastic presentation there, so we'll hear from her.
Thank you, Scott. And hello, everyone. It's nice seeing everybody here again. It's been a couple of weeks that I haven't been part of the Global Star Party, but with my school and work and everything going on, it's been super busy for me. So I tried to make it as often as possible. And even if I'm not here presenting or joining you in the Zoom, I usually watch in the background in my phone when you guys talk about all the cool stuff. I'm going to just share a few photos. So I was at the AGU, the American Union conference, for the first time. And it was great because this conference usually changes a location every other year. And I believe last time was in Chicago, and this year it was held in San Francisco, which is here in the Bay Area where I live, next to me. And it was very convenient. And generally, our university here in Santa Cruz, University of California, encourages all grad students and undergrads to attend and even present something or some of their research if they want to publish an abstract or something like that. And this was my very first time attending a major conference and presenting my research. I'm a second-year PhD student in planetary science, and it was I wasn't sure what to expect. So these are just some of the photos you can see behind me. It was this huge hall where all the registration was happening, so you could just go and print up your badge. And I'll try to just go to the next photo like this. This was just some of the pictures that I'm just going to show up. And then this was one of the halls. So the conference, it's so large. It's attended by like over 25,000 people from all over the world, like over 100 countries participate in this conference. So it's not only restricted to Americans, but it's all over the world. And being part of something this huge, this community that everybody is here to either present something or attend something, and this conference covers all Earth and space sciences. So it's hard to just gasp about how colossal this entire thing is, this organization. And I just took these photos from the escalator. So this was spread over 4 different buildings in the Moscone Center in downtown San Francisco. So you have to go in a whole different building to register, and then a different building for the presentations, a different building for the hall, and it was huge. And there were so many attendees. Everybody was presenting in all kinds of fields. And this video, somebody took it. It just shows you the hall where all the presentations of the posters were being made. So it was like an endless hall. And every day, this lasted for a week. So every day, new presenters would come up, put up their posters at 8 in the morning, and then take them down at 6 p.m. And every day, this would keep going, and new posters would come up, and new researchers, all kinds of sciences. You could find research on pretty much everything in earth science, but also planetary science and geology and cosmochemistry. So my research was in cosmochemistry and planetary science, and this was my poster that I was very excited to present. Again, this was one of my first major conferences to be part of, and my research is in a collaboration with my three advisors, Miriam Tellis, Andrew Rifkin, and Carl Hibbets, and we're trying to understand or experiment with meteorites and soluble organic material and ammoniated salts to try to understand the spectra of the asteroids in space. You guys don't have to read all of it, but I have some cute plots down there, and it was very exciting. And I spent like weeks in labs, weeks and months prior to this conference preparing to present this. And of course, there were like so many people that came by and wanted to talk and ask questions and challenge you about the research. And there were so many other people, and it's just impossible to see everything. Like, it was just impossible. We had a whole week, and yet you cannot just see everything because there's just so much. And everybody that attends this, usually they try to narrow it down and focus on their field. For instance, in my case, I was only trying to attend the planetary science talks or cosmochemistry talks, and because anything else, you just don't have time for it. And this was the exhibition hall. You can see by the number of people how overwhelming this was with attendees. There were exhibitions from NASA, JPL, from all kinds of branches of NASA, and also NOAA and NSF, and all the major institutions in the country. And they would present some of the latest research. In case of NASA, I stopped by the Psyche booth, and then they had James Webb Telescope booth and Hubble booth and some other related missions. And this was somebody from NASA just presenting to all the attendees some information about Psyche lunch. And it was very amazing. This was just the number of people, how many attendees were there. So I oftentimes felt like out of depth because it just was just so much science, and it was just a lot to grasp within 1 week. And then these were just some of the meteorites that some of the people displayed there. It was really nice to be able to hold them and check out all the features. This was a Chelyabinsk that crashed in Russia in 2013. And actually, I do have a Chelyabinsk sitting in my shelf here, but this was a much larger piece, so it was very nice to be able to actually hold it. This was another chondrite. I just liked all the chondrules. This is something that we actually study, and we're about to publish a paper on the chondrule rim. So it was kind of nice to see this very nice slice. And then this was a Campo del Cielo, a much larger piece. I do have some tiny pieces. And then people were just selling like jewelry, like with palladides and all types of meteorites. And for me, this is super exciting. And just to get people excited about science and about meteorites and to let them know how these things formed in the solar systems. And this is a Campo del Cielo, which I accidentally ended up buying. It's a wonderful piece. So as I said, I have Campo del Cielos, but they're super tiny. And then I ended up with this piece. It's a slice. It's pretty thick, as thick as an iPhone, I would say. And you can compare it to my hand palm. It's large, and I just love all the features. It's like a super nice cut, and then all the fusion crust on the around it. So I wanted to reward myself for Christmas, like an early Christmas present or something. But this is so great that it's going to go in my collection. These were just some of the models that NASA brought from James Webb, and this was I actually like this one very much. This was a slice of Europa, and this is how Europa would look like, with the ocean underneath and then the icy crust. And we're about to send the Europa Clipper, a flyby mission that will be launching soon. I hope you sent your name on board. But it was just great to go around and talk to people and learn about science and share your thoughts and come up with new ideas of what you want to do next in your research, because conferences are some of the best places you can attend or be to advance your thoughts and decisions on what you want to do next in your research, especially if you're a grad student and you're looking for a second or third project on your thesis. This was me just holding a replica of one of the wheels of Perseverance rover that is actually in Mars right now, and it was nice. It was not very heavy. I expected it to be a lot heavier. It's made of aluminum, but it was nice to just hold it and have an idea how large this thing is, because sometimes or oftentimes you cannot really tell how large they are just by pictures, because you don't have anything to compare it to. So now you can compare it to me and you can tell it's pretty large, almost like as large as a car. And then there were also other fun things. This was a sort of a game, Who Wants to Be a Planetary Millionaire, where you would pick questions, and if you knew all the questions, then you would be a planetary millionaire. And I was glad to earn the badge. And this actually was a great idea to maybe create for all of you who are into outreach and you want to teach the kids or high schoolers about science, and you could create something similar for them to challenge them with questions and then reward them with something similar. And then this was a globe of people that were attending from all over the world, and they would put their pin from the country they belonged to. And then I noticed from Kosovo and Albania, there was nobody. That's Kosovo. It's a very tiny country, and nobody was attending from Albanian land. So I was the first one to put a pin in there, and it covered the entire country with one push pin. And it was really nice to be able to be there and present our country and also my research, and just see who else is presenting from all over the world. And these are just some pictures of other people presenting their research, their posters, and the people would walk by. There wasn't a lot on small solar system bodies, like on asteroids and comets and meteorites. It was a very narrow section, and I was part of it. But there was other research on planetary science about tides, about Saturn moons, about Jupiter, Uranus, Neptune. It was pretty amazing. And this is just a video of when the exhibition hall opened, like how the people would just go in and visit. And this just gives you an idea of the number of attendees, that it was overwhelming. But anyway, I just wanted to wrap this up by saying that I was very happy to be part of this. It was very exciting. It was my first time, and hopefully that research will be able to further science, and other people will be able to contribute in the future. There is an AGU every year. It's probably going to be in New Orleans or DC next year. I'm not sure, but I hope you will consider attending, because it was an amazing experience for me. Thank you, Scott.
Wonderful. That's great. Let me find myself here. Jeez. So you'll go again next year, right?
Hopefully so. Our department encourages us to go and present our research. I'm also going to go in March. It's the LPSC, the Lunar and Planetary Science Conference in Houston. And I've never been there before. It's going to be my first. This one is going to be more focused only in planetary science rather than all Earth sciences. So I am currently preparing my abstract, which is due on January 9. And I will be submitting that, and will be hopefully presenting in March in Houston.
That's awesome. That is awesome. I was really impressed by all the meteorites and all the models. I mean, I can just see myself just wandering around there, asking a zillion questions. And so that's something that we'll have to attend. Anybody can go, I assume.
Yeah, you have to register, and there is a small fee for attendees who are not presenting. They just want to attend the exhibition or see the posters. But yeah, anybody is welcome to attend. And if it's happening in your area at any point in time, I hope you consider attending because it's absolutely worth it.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Scott.
Yep. Okay. Um, well, David, who do we got next here? It looks like Mr. Robert Reeves. Do you want to introduce him? You are muted.
I certainly do. Robert Reeves, I've known him for a long time. He lives out in Oracle, and we're always fighting about which sky is better, Oracle or Vale. And we're having this big argument and wrestling and throwing things at each other. And I don't know who's going to win that, but I think he is. I think Oracle, his sky is a little darker than mine. The only problem is I get a better south than he does. And but basically, I think Robert's sky is a little bit darker than mine. He's going to be talking tonight about a number of interesting things, and and I think it's going to be fun to listen to something that's always exciting, always interested, always inspirational. And now presenting Robert.
Well, thank you, David. I remember you for many years. You were the official introducer at the Texas Star Party, so it's kind of an honor to be introduced by you. Yeah, following after Pranvera Hysini, this is a hard act to follow. Um, I've joked with a number of people that they already have my tombstone ready. It's already carved, ready to be just propped up over my grave when I finally check out. And it just says something very simple. Here lies Robert Reeves. He brought Pranvera to the United States. So I'm very
Really?
proud. I'm very proud of this young lady and what she's accomplished.
That's great.
I remember when we brought her over for the Texas Star Party almost 10 years ago now, and kind of unleashed her on the science community here, and now here she is, well on her way to getting her PhD. So I'm very proud of her for what she's done with the little meager crack in the door that I afforded. But
We'll be always grateful for that to you and everybody who helped me in this journey.
yes, there's been many people that have deserved an enormous amount of credit, and I'm very honored to be a very small part of your journey. But getting on to the theme of tonight's program, astronomical companions, I really don't have a whole lot to say about a personal astronomical companion. I've had many astronomical friends through the years that we've enjoyed the skies together, but kind of on my own nowadays. So what I'm going to talk about is companions on the moon, of course. Known being the moon being my realm, features on the moon that are pairs, companions with each other, not necessarily related to each other, but observationally considered to be companions as we observe the moon. So let's do the great screen share experiment and see what happens here. And hopefully you're seeing my postcards from the moon title slide. And then nope, it's still not advancing. We're going to have to do it this way. Did it advance?
Yes.
Great. Yeah. Finally, we got this thing working. My one size fits all slide that I always put at the beginning of a moon presentation, reminding people that there are only two landscape forming processes on the moon. Everything we see on the moon was either created by an impact, by an asteroid or meteor, or it was subsequently modified by volcanism. Tonight, we'll primarily be looking at the results of impacts, craters that are companions with each other. So moving on to the first one, as the phases begin to progress, the waxing crescent phases, one of the first crater pairs that comes up is Hercules and Atlas, the two lunar strongmen, the classic Greek and Roman mythological strongmen. Hercules on the left, Atlas on the right. Atlas is a floor fractured crater, volcanically modified. You can see the rules running across it, the oatmeal cookie pattern, like as I explained. This is caused by a volcanic modification of the crater after it was formed. Originally, it looked very much like a traditional crater. Collapsed terrace walls, central peak in the middle. But then it underwent this volcanic modification that turned it into a floor fractured crater. Hercules and Atlas formed perhaps 1 billion years apart. So they're not related to each other in any way. They just happen to be next to each other. But because of the connection, both being coincidentally, well, not coincident, I'm sure that Giovanni Riccioli back in 1651, when he created the moon mapping system that we still use today, or moon naming feature naming system we still use today, very deliberately put both Hercules and Atlas side by side, but not related, but considered an observational pair. And moving on, wider view, here we see Hercules and Atlas in a broader context, looking up toward the limb of the moon. We go past Endymion crater, the basalt-filled crater, and then finally on the horizon we see Mare Humboldtianum. So Hercules and Atlas are placed up in the northeastern quarter of the moon and are among the first of the observational pairs that appears as the phases progress. Along about the 5 or 6 day moon, sunrise has swept past Mare Nectaris. So now we see the triple crater pair of Theophilus, Cyrillus, and Katharina. And these are all generally about the same age, but we can clearly see that Katharina on the bottom is heavily degraded. Cyrillus in the middle is pretty beaten up, but Theophilus up at the top looks fresh and pristine. It's because it was the last one formed. The first one down gets beaten up the most by the ejecta and seismic shock from subsequent impacts. Katharina formed first, then Cyrillus, and then finally Theophilus overlaid part of Cyrillus. So each succeeding one degraded the previous one a little bit more. But all three of them are tucked in the northwestern corner of Mare Nectaris, and they are considered an observational triplet. And moving on here, backing up a little bit more, getting into a higher orbit. Now we see definitely we're on the edge of Mare Nectaris, and the three craters nested just bang, 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 right on the northwestern rim of Mare Nectaris. And sunrise, just as sunrise is breaking across these craters, it's always so dramatic. They're not necessarily enormously deep, no more than about 4 or 5 kilometers in depth, but compared to their width, almost 100-kilometer width, they are fairly shallow. I mean, a depth to diameter ratio of 1/20 or even more. So just as the sunrise breaks over the rim, the eastern rim of these craters, the interior is still plunged into darkness, and it's a very dramatic view just after sunrise. Moving up toward the middle north on the moon, another observational pair is having a senior moment. It's been one of those days. Eudoxus and Aristoteles. Of course, I know these things. It's kind of like one of these things where you kind of get in a bind at a party and you go to introduce your best friend standing next to you and his name vanishes from your head. But anyway, Aristoteles on top, Eudoxus on the bottom. In this case, it's the opposite. This is a sunset creating the very dramatic shadows in them. Let me back up a little more and show a little more context. We can see that these twin craters are not that far away from the uh, rich observational grounds of northern Mare Imbrium. We see the Alpine Valley cutting through the Alps mountains, which means Plato crater is just off to the left of the field of view. Cassini crater, easily seen, the bird's nest looking crater, lower center left. But Aristotle and Eudoxus, again, not related to each other, but observational pairs, so they're companions, lunar companions. And it's not necessarily craters that we get in multiples on the moon to consider them observational pairings. These rills almost dead center in the center of the moon's disk. The Triesnecker rill complex on the left, the irregular branching rills, the gull wing shape of the Hyginus rill toward the center, upper center, branching off in either direction from Hyginus crater. Hyginus about 9 kilometers in diameter, the pivot in the middle of that, but it is the largest non-impact crater on the moon. It's actually a volcanic collapse pit. And then streaking down to the lower right, the Aridaeus rill, stretching almost 200 kilometers, looks almost like a interstate highway cut, cut through the hills, kind of like what we see in the West Texas hill country when we're driving out toward the Texas Star Party. And another feature very close to the center of the moon, the triple crater complex of Ptolemaeus up on top, Alphonsus in the middle, Arzachel on the bottom. These are very ancient craters. Ptolemaeus is pre-Nectarian, which means it's almost 4 billion years old, and its interior has been completely filled up with ejecta thrown from other subsequent impacts, primarily the large basin impacts, throughout enormous amounts of debris filled up the interior of the crater. Alphonsus below it, not quite as filled up with debris, but it's also a floor fractured crater. It's been volcanically modified. The floor has been uplifted. You can see a complex of rills running around the inner side, inner rim of it. And then at the bottom, Arzachel, kind of a odd placed central peak off center, and then artistically balanced by the smaller impact crater within Arzachel. Now, in the category of lunar companions, again, we see Arzachel and Alphonsus to the left, but immediately to the right of them is kind of almost a duplicate pairing of craters. And I'm not even going to try to remember their names, even though I know them. It's been a really rough day, and my mind is just not kicked into gear. But I like how the pattern repeats. We've got Alphonsus and Ptolemaeus on the left, and then almost an exact duplicate of their pattern over on the right. And sunset on Ptolemaeus, Alphonsus, Arzachel. I love these dramatic, deep shadows. And we can see the gap in the western wall of Ptolemaeus, just letting the last rays of sunset peek through. And the same on the volcanically uplifted central ridge in Alphonsus, the middle crater. You see that central ridge raised up just enough to catch the last rays of sunset, whereas down in Arzachel crater, the central peak is already gone. It's at a lower elevation. It's not volcanically uplifted like the floor of Alphonsus. And I'm not sure if I skipped a slide there. there, I did. I have hopped over this one. Again, two craters not related to each other by any means, but observationally considered a pair, companions of each other. That's Copernicus crater in the upper right, and Kepler crater down on the lower left. Copernicus, maybe 800 million years old. Kepler, a little bit younger. Again, no relation to each other, but their proximity to each other and their magnificent ray structures make them showpieces on the moon. Ray structure is primarily seen at high sun angles when it is very good at reflecting light back toward its source. And at near full moon, of course, the Earth is in between the sun and the moon. So the light reflecting from the rays shines right back at us, and they appear very bright. But at sunset, that effect diminishes. So the huge ray system around Copernicus is not evident at this sunrise view, although you can still see the kind of ninja star-shaped rays around Kepler. But trust me, Copernicus has the second most spectacular ray system on the moon. And for that reason, ancient observers in the early telescopic era used to call Copernicus the monarch of the moon. And it still is by any definition. It's spectacular. So moving on, another pair that we associate with each other, even though they're not related. Hainzel crater up on top, kind of peanut shaped, and Schiller, cigar shaped down the bottom. That's just a coincidence that the two most elongated craters on the moon are within the same eyepiece field of view. In this case, they're separated by about 500 kilometers. And to put Schiller on the bottom in perspective, it's something like 170, 180 kilometers long, but only 1/3 is wide. So it's not necessarily considered a huge crater, but if you substituted Schiller's length for the diameter of a round crater, Schiller would be one of the 10 largest craters on the near side of the moon. The Hainzel crater up at the top, that's just an illusion that it's so elongated. It's actually two circular craters that have merged by their close proximity to the impact. It appears more peanut shaped because of our slanted perspective. It's down toward the southern latitudes of the moon. And as usual, one of my cats is here supervising, make sure that I do everything correctly.
Just don't let it walk on your keyboard.
That's what I'm trying to get it not to do. Okay. Well, the next slide, of course, was my traditional ending, where I say there's much to love on the moon. I consider the moon to be my playground, and I invite you to come out and play with me. The moon is available from your own backyard. The moon laughs at light pollution. Bright lights doesn't bother it at all. So anytime the moon is in the sky, it's a viable target. And you don't need to travel out in the country to see it. You can see it from your own backyard. Almost any modest telescope will show you the details that I've been showing tonight. So go out and take a look at these pairs. We're coming up on first quarter moon real quick. So our Zachel, Alphonsus, and Ptolemaeus should be right about in the middle of the moon, right at the first quarter. Hercules and Atlas already visible. Theophilus, Katharina, Cyrillus already visible. So all these displays, all these things are here ready to display their wares for you. All you have to do is go out and look.
Awesome. That's great. That's great. Well, thank you so much. Let's see.
One thing that I would like to add, Scotty, about
Yes.
Robert's presentation is he brought back some old friends, speaking of celestial companions, but Theophilus. It's a crater that I've studied since the 1960s, and especially. But one that I would like to add, of course, is Tycho, or Tycho, as lots of you call it. But Tycho is the crater that makes me feel I have to watch 2001 again.
Yeah. Yeah, Tycho magnetic anomaly.
Yeah. So anyway, Robert, thank you so much for enlightening us with the wonderful thing about the moon.
My
And one
pleasure.
thing that I get out of your presentation is, again, from Leslie Peltier. If you read Starlight Nights, he has a chapter near the end in which he is opposed to humanity's going to the moon. And it's one of the few things that he and I disagreed. But I think his argument is worth repeating now, that the moon is something that we love, not just for its geology, but as for its poetry. And he quotes in Starlight Nights, "All that love me, all that love me." And that now, as he writes about people with long eyes looking at the moon as something to conquer, the moon is Lady Moon is looking back at us, saying that poem that she loved to say so much, "All that love me, all that lovely." We have to protect the moon, and just as we want to protect the earth. Thank you.
Well said.
Great, great. Thank you so much, Robert.
You bet.
Thanks for another amazing, in-depth, deep dive into those beautiful craters and your incredible imagery. So thank you so much.
My pleasure.
And I'm amazed that you remember any of this stuff at all. So,
Well, I'm kind of embarrassed that I went blank on a couple of them. I really do know what they are. It'll come back to me.
You do. I know you do. That's great. Thank you for sharing. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
All right. Okay. So, David, we have Cesar Brolo from Argentina, and he wants to talk about his 30 years of celestial companions. I think that, gosh, when I look back at my friends, especially, friendship that you and I have had over the decades, and astronomers that we have seen that are still here, but some that have already passed on. All these memories are just incredible treasures, and somehow I tie them together with the beautiful nebula and galaxies and star clusters and comets that we've all seen. So it's an honor to do the show with you, David. So thank you so much. Thank you. Okay, so Caesar, would you like to come on at this time?
Hi, Scott and audience. Yes, the thing that I have to present tonight is this trip of 30 years that I started in the 90s. Reading. I remember that I bought my Skywatch book of David Levy, and imagine taking my impression and the honor that is be a part of this show every day, every night, that I can share with this great group of people here, and it's part of my presentation. It's something that I consider friends to the group, and really is a long trip where today one of my favorites companions is inside of the Global Star Party. But I'll show you the idea. I start to think, first making a presentation, but I have something that I have an album in our astronomy group, or for our company, We have a Facebook page, Facebook site, and the album is growing every year, every time, every 5 years, because this album starts to say that our 15 in astronomy, under the stars, our 15, our 20 years, our 25 years, and now I put more pictures tonight to show the more complete and actualized history of this timeline, where we make not only a business, if not a great combination of friendship and communities and working and helping. And I'll start to share my screen. This is the Facebook of Astronomía Amateur, and this is an album inside our Facebook that we start to show to the people in 2014. But in 2014, I think that the first time that we put maybe 15 years old, because these pictures is for 1996. 28 years old, for example. This is when we start to make star parties in Argentina. We start to make star parties from 1994, 1995. We started the business in 1992. This is the first star party in 1996, and was a star party where we invited especially people with telescope, people, real amateur astronomers, not only interested people. If not, we started to invite the people that came to the star parties with telescopes. And well, this is for example, this is my brother-in-law, Matias Zaraco. This is my wife, Evangelina. And this is people that I say the name. It's impressive because, for example, in this time I don't have kids. For example, this is incredible. This is the first thing that I thought the time. I was married with my wife, 2 years married. Actually, we are going to have next year 30 years married.
Oh, congratulations.
And the anniversary, yes, next year, yes. in August, yes, 24. Well, this is one of the first pictures for our friend Juan Breuer, that he took a picture in the star party of 1997 of the sky. This is the tents with computers. Do you remember maybe 1997 the software of the computers, the sky map, and we put computers with sky maps running for the people. We don't have nothing about CCDs working, or just in 1998. Domingo Barraschina was a great support many times. Actually, he's thinking maybe in the future to return to make a big support and make star parties with us again. This is people from the same star party. Sorry by the quality of the picture, but this is maybe a Mavic, Sony Mavic 1, the first digital cameras, you know.
Oh, wow.
Yes. Here you have Agustin, maybe in his first star party. My son Agustin, maybe with no more than 1 year old. Agustin is really a great support. here is me. Here is another customer and people that many times return to the third parties today. People that pass away, well, I don't remember the names in this moment, but people that today they are a great remember for me, great memories, nice memories. I saw the pictures and it's incredible the time that ran under the bridge. Manuel Lopez Alvarez was a great supporter, and he had 14 inches, and he worked a very good work of catalog of supernovas in Argentina, and he took a lot of pictures of southern galaxies to have a catalog to watch different places to how to find supernovas in different galaxies. A great supporter. I had a great times in the 90s with him, accompanying in their own telescope and making pictures with a film with 120 millimeters films with a Celestron Schmidt camera of 8 inches and a 14 inches telescope. And this is the time of the prizes in our star parties. This is my father-in-law that he passed away 6 years ago. This is me, younger. Maybe you can you can watch me and say, okay, you're not. No, it's me. Maybe 25 years ago. Here in a presentation. Here is in United States. Is in I know very great people in the Atlanta Star Party in the 1990s, in the end of the century. This is of Atlanta too. It's incredible that this is going to be 24 years old. A science scope. This is all in Atlanta. This is in Argentina in 2000s. This is in around 2002. And well, this is full of pictures of people and kids that today are men's. You know, Juan Pablo Patallo when he was a kid, and he's a great friend, and I'm really was a great time of this star party. It was amazing. 300 people, that in Argentina is a lot of people. Vinicio Contreras, the genius of working, and he was a great man that was a customer, but we make some kind of friendly jeep, and really he made his own system, hydraulic system, a great system to put in a truck. Well, you know, it all is a lot of things that is impossible to me have an idea to how to show, how to put in order, because it's how many people, like Fernando Colom. He worked in the team of Carl Sagan in Arecibo. He passed away many years ago, and another guy with a lot of knowledge about extraterrestrial searching signals. Well, it's me, my brother-in-law Matias, praising give a price of, and it's a mix of business, fun, and a great moments. Lot of star parties, working in star parties. It's me again. This guy now have family, kids, you know, it's a lot of people. Pedro Saizar, Pedro talked in a global star party one time. He's an astronomer. Here is Agustin, my son. Roberto Claverier, a great, is a man that any star party, he is present. More guys, people, you know. Well, here's me that presenting in 2004. We call it Fiesta Bajo las Estrellas, like a party under the stars. Eduardo Pulver, actually he lives in Israel. He's a great astrophotographer. Pedro Saizar, me, Domingo Barrachina, and the new, I'm going to go.
You have a lot of
Yes.
friends.
Yes, and this is people that we are running, talking, and today, this is me in the association of, this is the association where my friend, the astronomer that Victor Busso found the supernova, is the same association in Santa Fe. He found the supernova 3 or 4 years ago. This is another star party, another one, maybe. We are going. This is my friend Jaime Garcia. Jaime Garcia is a doctor in mathematics and astronomy. He's a great friend. We make the star party in San Rafael Mendoza together. Another star party. Maybe my Kiara, Agustin. I have one more that it's Luca. Luca have 17 years old, Kiara 23, and Agustin 27. Jaime Garcia, when we start the star parties in San Rafael Mendoza, we change the star parties in Buenos Aires, and we start to make the star parties in Mendoza because we have a great sky. Presenting products, making our typical live projection of the same that I make from my balcony. I make this in you know. This is Federico Garcia. Federico Garcia actually is astronomer, is the Jaime Garcia's son, and he's a great astronomer, and he investigates in X-rays. Rodolfo Ferraiolo, me with a very weird color jacket and hat.
Nice.
Nice,
fun.
yeah. Yes. And well, more star parties, more people. Enzo Bernardini, Alejandro Tombolini, Federico. Here is like a ghost. Unfortunately, in this picture, Sebastián Otero, that is a member of the ABSO in Americas, but he's Argentinian. And well, Diego Galperín, Jaime Garcia. I forget the name of my friend. He's going to kill me if he watch this. Eric Gonzalez. Eric told in the Global Star Party one time, the guy that is astronomer and work in San Juan. Do you remember, maybe, Scott? The Encuentro de Jóvenes Astrónomos, that I have a lot of friends. It's wonderful. And it's incredible. This is the Casilda Star Party, another star party that we sponsor, and I have my friends in Santa Fe, in another part of Santa Fe. You know, it's so well, more people that the problem is that sometimes I forget the name. Okay. Rafael Girola, the guy that was watching by the telescope. It's me talking about astrophotography and optics. Here's Agustin, just Agustin like today, maybe 5 years ago, but Agustin supporting us in astrophotography, software, connection. It's me, the friends. Gabriel Bengochea, the physics is a genius, and he is a great supporter for our presentation, because Gabriel is a physics. He actually is working in Webb telescope image. Well, here we was in something that is the museum night in Buenos Aires, and we show to the people image of Orion, live pictures. More activities, solar activities. This is the time, more modern times, where we have explored scientific telescopes.
Wow.
This is one of my favorites. Yes, this is one of my favorite pictures, where we carry a lot of explored scientific telescope to the eclipse in San Juan. It was incredible. Yes. And ever the people that I told, it's people that came with me because we went together to the star parties, to the eclipses. This is in a salt field, and this is a wall made of salt, and this is live image of 47 Tucana in the night in the middle of Patagonia. It's incredible. And Jaime Garcia, Agustin, Federico Garcia, Galperin, Eric Gonzalez, and this is something that they are all completely friends together, and we are a huge community. And this is incredible, because I can show you different time, and they say, okay, I see these people in the picture, and they are connected with me, and they themselves too. And this is something that I love. Another congress of, in this case, jóvenes astrónomos en las grutas. Me and Jaime Garcia and me in star party in San Rafael, eclipse in San Juan, the guys of the planetarium of Malargüe Planetarium is amazing in the Patagonia, in south of Mendoza. Well, you know, you can see the white, this is the age of the white explorer scientific refractors.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, yes.
It's wonderful to see our telescopes out there, giving people the enjoyment, you know. It's great.
Yes. A great supporter for me, my father, 85 years old, a genius, resolving mechanics and something that we need, or for example, he helped to Eric Gonzalez in the observatory about some things that they can do it in the big telescopes. Well, my brother Germán, my another brother Darío live in Italy, with Eric Gonzalez with the telescope, the big telescope of the do you remember of the refractor, the biggest refractor in activities today. For the TV this year for the lunar eclipse for the national TV. we make a support with Agustin in my rooftop of my you know, of my building, and this is the place where I transmit in the global star party the live image, and it's a global star party. You, the community, are a big, a huge and very important part of my astronomy life, my astronomy work. This is for you, Marcelo, too.
Yeah, that's great.
Yes, I hope that with Marcelo that we are closer. We can make an encounter to know in face to face in the live. I have an idea to go to Brazil, Marcelo. Yes. Well, this is the last star parties, you know, music. This is all of the community of the Bellavista al Cosmos with Santiago Mayese, well, Jorge Rosansky, Fernando Riccardini. Oof. It's Nicolas. Well, it's a lot. Another star party. Yeah, the best part of our gastronomic. Yeah, the dinner. The dinner is all.
The barbecue.
The barbecue, yes. You know, it's every year we make the pictures, and many times you can, so the more of the middle are the same faces, and this is incredible. And it's something that really we are. It's Jaime Garcia with the group of from Chile. These guys came from Chile every year too, because Chile is very near to Mendoza. Mendoza is in the west. Here, I don't have a closer picture of this friend that is, well, I need to make another presentation next time, but about optics, and I'll talk about more friends.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we should talk about our friends every time.
Yes.
It's important.
Sure. Yeah, no, it's impossible because really we work together and have a great connection of actions, and we're preparing, for example, this next annular eclipse in Patagonia. We are working and talking about our next star party in May in San Rafael, and really we are all times talking about the future, how we can make next star party, the annular eclipse in Patagonia for 24, and really every time that I'm running these pictures of this album is actually I show with 148 pictures, and really it's a lot, but I have maybe 1,000 more, and it's impossible, and really something that for me is very emotional, watching today with in the screen and thinking that all the time that I have, something that is important is how changed this book to me. Skywatch was like a live manual, more efficient to how explain to the people astronomy. No, it was not only the maps, if not when David started to say, okay, you have a telescope, and the things to say, what you can do with a telescope, maybe a telescope that you bought or receive a gift. Mm-hmm. I remember that any people that bought a telescope, I say, okay, you need this book, and I show it the book, and was a guide, but it was incredible because it was something like a guide to make friends when you have the right how do you say, information, and honestly, and what the book is more than Skywatch of David Levy is more than a single book, if not make the right direction to explain what can I do about astronomy. And this is something like one of the axes where our life is running, is you know, this is special. And for me, David is something that when I return in the time, when I think in 1992, because maybe I start to polish my mirrors in the 80s, in the 1985 when I started. But the connection with the astronomy was with the book of David Levy.
Yeah. And many
This is something that I can say to David Levy tonight. And it's like a religion when you say evangelize something and say, yes, I wrote this book, and this is how you can encourage the people, really. And encouraging people, do you have something, a prize that is unexpected? You have friends. Part of my friends of my life, that we share family, our kids are friends too. They came from the astronomy. Maybe they started bombing a telescope, you know, but the sense of the things, of how changed me the book. As Texero book changed me in the idea of Polish Bring the Mirror.
He gave that introduction and how to do it.
Yes,
David's book
give me
that
something.
you're talking about introduces to our
Yes.
the world of astronomy and the community of astronomy, and how we should. He gave hints on how to conduct ourselves. That's true.
Yes, yes. And this is something that I need to say thank you to David Levy, because maybe it looks like a technical book, but have more poetry inside that you can imagine, really. And of course that I know that David loved poetry, and I enjoy the poetry. But sometimes something like the Skywatch of David Levy book is something that I say, oh, it's something that in each part is so important. Give the time to explain to the people. It's something of love. It's really, because when you have your time to give your nurturing, it's really enjoyable. Yes. Thank you, David.
Well, thank you. I wanted to add my thanks to you. And those of you who are on Zoom might have noticed that whenever my camera appears, I often go out of focus, and it just comes back in, but then goes out of focus again.
Yes,
And
it's a problem of optics.
That's because my name is Dr. Blurry. So you can call me Dr. Blurry. Anyway,
Dr. Blurry, yeah.
You've reminded me of my many very wonderful visits to South America over the years. And I hope I get to do that again at some point. And thank you, Cesar.
Thank you to you, really, David. Okay. It's a pleasure, really. It's a long time. It's a timeline. We're close in this moment, but we continue. But yes, it's something that is real. It's a point of break. In this was in 1992, especially. Maybe the book is a little earlier. I don't remember, but the Spanish edition was in 1991, 1992. The first thing that I found was finally somebody explain at this genius, because I know you in this time about the Shoemaker-Levy and a lot of things more. Well, Shoemaker-Levy, the comment was a little time. I don't remember. It was what, in 1996. Well, I forget the year of the impact over Jupiter, but something that about this book is a manual that really is about this, that I think something that I feel that is a lot of work to finally explain to the people. And I think that maybe by the way, I think that from 1992, I feel many times I felt that the amateur astronomy was going to the golden age from 1992, 1997, the starting of the CCDs, and was totally exponential. And going now to the age of the smart telescopes, the things are that the information that you put in the book start to change the things in another way to make more popular the knowledge in amateur astronomer. I remember the first time when I started to sell telescopes, the kind of people was more retired people, maybe with times, but more sophisticated hobby. With the change of the years, and when the Skywatch appeared with a lot of things about using telescopes or binoculars, you start talking about how much you see in the sky, and say, wow, this is the first time that somebody talk about the instruments, because I know in the past a lot of books that I had, but I think that the modern age of amateur astronomers is starting with the time of David Levy books.
Well, thank you so much again.
You deserve this, and much more, of course. And I can fix your camera, but it's interesting. It's an interesting special effect. Then.
Okay, that's great. That's wonderful. Cesar, thank you so much.
It's a pleasure.
Yeah, yeah. And if we didn't thank David Levy enough, all of the books he's written and all the insight he's given us into the lives and minds of astronomers and astronomy is really amazing. And it's been an incredible gift and a lot of effort, I know, from his part. But he's had to get this word out since childhood. So, and he's still doing it. So thank you, David. Thank you.
One thing that's interesting that I think the book that you might have been referring to was a book that I had from Cambridge University Press. And I submitted the book to Simon Minton, that was the editor at the time at Cambridge. And he wrote back and he said, thank you for submitting the book. We'll have to send it out for review and for this and for that. And then I wrote him back and I said, and I would like to title this book, because at the time they had a lot of user's guides, new computers, new things, and they had user's guides. So I told him that I wanted to call it The Sky, a user's guide. And he wrote me back immediately, said, accepted. I want to publish. I want that title in our list. And that's how the Sky a User's Guide came to be part of the Cambridge Pantheon.
Great. Okay. Well, gentlemen, we are going to transition over to from Argentina to Brazil, and go to Marcelo Souza, who is with us. And Marcello is right now putting together the latest edition of Skies Up magazine. Skies Up was titled by Wendy Levy, and so it is a free international astronomy magazine, and we're proud to have Marcello gather articles from around the world to talk about all kinds of aspects of astronomy. So, Marcello, thank you for coming on to our last edition of 2023, the 139th Global Star Party.
Thank you very much for the invitation, Scott. It's a great pleasure to be here. Nice to see Dr. David Levy. It's a great pleasure to be with him also. Nice to see you, Susan. And it's a great pleasure. I have the honor to thank Dr. David Levy for all the kind words that he wrote about us here in Brazil in his book. Thank you very much, Dr. David Levy. It was very emotional for us. This. Thank you. And thank you, Scott, for all the support that you gave to us in all this time.
It's our pleasure.
I will show images of our history here, and I also show some his recent results. Let me see if it will work, because sometimes my computer don't help me. I have here I can change. Here where we are in Brazil, and now we are waiting for the beginning of the summer. Even it is very hot here. We have more than 40 degrees today. It's very hot here because of the El Nino. Everything changed here. We have days very hot and days with rains. Hot and rains. Hot and rains. This is what's happening in this period of summer for us here in Brazil. And as we are located near the Tropic of Capricorn, here we are 270. It's like the beaches are today, all full. And what's curious, because during the solstice that will happen for us in 2022 in December, because it will be after midnight, then it will be 22 for us, and the sun will be directly illuminate the Tropic of Capricorn, and here is the place. You have they say here pass the imaginary line of the Tropic of Capricorn in the middle of the road. They put this sign in the middle of the road here. I have another one here. Here past the Tropic of Capricorn. Then another one here. Then many places they know where it's located. And this is something curious that you have the north region of Brazil, because it's the moment of the equinox. Because here is in equator, in the state of Amapá in Brazil, they put this kind of sundial here, and during the equinox is like this. And this line separates the southern hemisphere from the northern hemisphere. And it is a very special place that you have this kind of monument there. These are the emails that I got recently. This is from the NGC 2389. Here is the M65. And this I got last week from the Horsehead Nebula in Orion. And this was something fantastic because a person, Helen, that participated in the Comet Chase project, she said to us, you have a comet that is crossing 3 galaxies in the constellation of Crux. Then you had the opportunity to take this picture of the comet here in the middle, the comet C 2020 V2, and we have 3 galaxies here, NGC 7599, 7590, and the 7582. This was I took this image in December 13th. Then was something fantastic to note this, that it was possible to take a picture like this. And here is I will show many images of your history. Here we are talking about friendships, and then our group was founded in 1996, May 1996. These are the first images. I was very young here. Now I'm not young, but when I begin here, it was the first images of our group. Yeah. And this person here, this guy here, Carlos, is until today with us in the group, and my wife, that was there. Then we begin, since the beginning of our group, we organize many events in public places with a lot of people participating. You can see here we have a group of music composed with students. They are theater and music. This girl here now is PhD in physics. She is working at a university here. We organize events on the beach, in any place that invited us to make presentation. Then we had the opportunity to visit many places and organize many kinds of events. This is why we begin to organize big events with many people, national events, then begin to international events. The first presentation made by Buzz Aldrin in Brazil was in our city in 2009. Here, when he arrived here in our city in 2009, to make the first presentation here in Brazil. We developed a digital planetarium. That was the first Brazilian digital planetarium. We used a very simple model with a fisheye lens and a projector and using stellarium. Then we asked to make the cupola, mobile, and then we visited many places in Brazil. We developed many kinds of activities. He's my wife. And then we begin to organize big events, international events. And this was one of the biggest that's organized in 2009. Then we have here Nushan Sari, many people from different parts of the world that participated here with us, Manoj from India, and Mike Simmons that helped us a lot to organize these events. This was one with 4 astronauts that we had. The Charlie Duck, that was Apollo astronauts, 2 from cosmonauts, Oleg Kotov and Pavel Novodov, and the Brazilian astronauts. I have 4 astronauts here at the same time, and they had contact with students here. You see here, Russia and the United States together here. You have and one guy from China, from different parts of the world, Charlie Duck. I have the opportunity to organize this event here. That makes me very happy to have the opportunity to receive so many people here, like Scott Roberts that was here, Dr. David Levy also was here, and it was a fantastic moment. That's it. I read the book of Dr. David Revere when he reports what's happening here. Here, our last event, that's in this year, that we returned after the pandemic period. Next year, we are organizing a new event. I hope, Scott, you and Dr. David Levy can visit again as
Yeah, that
next
would be
year.
wonderful.
It will be April after the eclipse. It will be April 11. Then we choose after the eclipse. And here it was this year, the event this year. These are some of these events that you organize with many people. Here, Dr. David Levy here in Brazil with the students. We are here together here in Rio de Janeiro. And here Dr. David Levy with the students that visited the Museum of Astronomy in Rio de Janeiro. Students were very happy here to meet Dr. David Levy. And here the telescope that Scott Hope donated to us, that we are using until today. And here when I met you in the Starlight,
Yes.
and here was in an event that you met me at the airport. Thank you very much, Scott. It was a fantastic moment. Thank you. And this is our history here. 27 years. Now we have a dark sky. We are on the unique, we have in Brazil only one chapter of the dark sky, and this is our chapter here in Rio de Janeiro. Next year, this is our international events that I hope also you can come here. Scott and Dr. David Levy will be very welcome. We are sending official invitation. I hope you can participate because many people want to meet all of you here. You also, Caesar, I hope you can come. We'll be after the eclipse, only April 11, then have time to see the eclipse, then participate here. We are going to honor this person that John Baptiste Estinoco. He born 150 years ago, and he was responsible to publish the first observations in our city in the bulletin of the the French Astronomy Society, and he was friend of Camille Flammarion and Júlio Verne, and he lived in our city in Brazil. João Batista de Seixas Tinoco. He has many pubs in the bulletin of the French Astronomical Society. Few people know about him. And he was the last person that reported the observation of the Halley Comet in 1910. I have a paper published in Canada that show that he was the last person to report the observation by naked eye of the Halley Comet in 1910. Wow. That was a fantastic. Few people know about him. And we are also preparing for the annular eclipse, but in 2027. Next year you have one near El Calafate in Argentina. The first time I saw a total solar eclipse was in El Calafate, and next year will happen again near El Calafate. I hope I can go to see again.
Yes, we are preparing too.
It's a fantastic place, the Calafate. And now near the Christmas, for us here, we have many Christians here in Brazil. Most of the population are Christians. The Star of Bethlehem. And also we try to understand what it is. It's a comet, a triple conjunction of planets, having many hypotheses about what can be. But what you have is only the information that you have in the gospel according to St. Matthew. That now when Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea in the days of Herod the king, behold, wise men from the east came to Jerusalem, saying, where is the that's born? For we saw his star in the east. Then I have many people that is trying to find events in the sky that can represent the star of Bethlehem. And what you have know that probably Jesus born years before the date that you consider the year that you consider today. Then what they imagine that was some kind of that can represent this was in 3 years before the time that you consider today, the year that you consider when Jesus was born, 3 years before, you have a conjunction between Jupiter and Venus. Was so close that they almost touch the two stars in the sky. Then there was something that they measured that was a message about this. This is what the astronomer, the most important event in the sky that could represent the star of Bethlehem if it is a real report. No? Anyway, is a special moment. No? Here you can see here. And all the cities in Brazil, we have trees, Christmas trees in the public squares with the representation of the moment of the born of Jesus Christ. And now, unfortunately, we have war in the place where Jesus Christ was born. No? That I hope soon we have peace in the world. It's a moment that you need to think about this. This is the message of the Christmas. And as Galileo said, the Bible shows the way to go to heaven, not the way the heavens go. Then this is what the astronomers do. And at this moment, I see this, that there are only two ways to live your life. As Albert Einstein said, one thought nothing is a miracle, the other is a thought everything is a miracle. Was what I imagine. And this is our last picture of our group. We were together this Saturday to celebrate our celebration of the end of the year. And all of them are sending Happy Christmas and a Happy New Year with health, peace for all of you. Thank you very much, Scott. Thank you very much, Dr. Levy, to be here. It's always a great pleasure to meet all of you. And both of you are very special for us here. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Marcello.
And thank you, Marcello. This was such a very special thing. And I really particularly enjoyed your showing the Giotto painting, which was really the old data from Halley's Comet from a long, long time ago. One thing that I needed to remind everyone about is that when I was writing my biography, A Night Watchman's Journey, I was having a lot of problems figuring out a way to end it. And it turns out that my visit to Marcello a number of years ago really provided me with that. When I was doing the presentation of Shoemaker Levy 9, and while I was showing the picture, the fellow who was running the microphone and the audio came up to me and said, David, I think you need to turn around and see what's going on. I turned around and the people in the audience had their cell phone lights on, and to the music, they were having their lights dancing around the auditorium. And that meant so much to me. It was such a very, very special thing to me to be able to see the reaction to that situation to the pictures of Shoemaker Levy 9 impact on Jupiter being danced around the auditorium ceiling. And I've never forgotten that. And I decided to end the biography with that particular story. Thank you for letting me say that. And thank you, Marcello.
Thank you very much for we that thanking you for coming here and to report these special moments for us. For everybody that was there, was a very emotional moment. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, David, our next speaker is Adrian Bradley. You had introduced Adrian to the Global Star Party. You mentioned to me how wonderful his night sky photography is, and Adrian is not disappointed. He has wowed the audience with many beautiful landscape and nightscape images. But I've also noticed that Adrian has learned a lot about the objects in the skies that he photographs. So, Adrian, thanks for coming on to Global Star Party with us.
And I want to add my welcome to Adrian. I really enjoy your photographs. And as I've told you before, and I'll tell the audience tonight, when I think of your photographs, Adrian, the only response that I can think of is Mozart. And your photographs are Mozart.
I appreciate that. I think I actually found a Mozart piece and put it to some of the images that I took, just so that I could repay you the favor one day of having a collage of photography to one of Mozart's pieces. I tend to like piano pieces, so he's written some, I think they're called sonnets. He's written some pieces for piano that are beautiful that I will be listening to. The theme tonight was companions, and I realized in my journey with my photography, I started out wanting to take photos and, like everybody else, get all the likes, get all the the accolades. That's a great photo. When I stopped doing that and started highlighting things of the sky that I liked, that was at the point where I noticed astronomers, folks like yourself, Scott, folks like yourself, my dear friend David, when you all were saying that you saw something in the photos, I stopped worrying about the masses. And I said, continue to do the photos with the idea that this is your story you're telling about the night sky. Not, we're not taking photos for, isn't it beautiful? Look at me. I can produce this work. I know that there's a lot of astrophotography out there that highlights more about the gear that you take. And I do this every Global Star Party. I come on and I rail against, there's some beautiful work that has been done, in all the different phases of astrophotography. But one thing that I always challenge everyone to say, has your astrophotography helped somebody appreciate how beautiful the night sky really is? Without that night sky there, what can you do? And a lot of what I've done, and this is where I'm going to share screen, I'll get into unlikely companions for my wide field astrophotography. Sometimes the sky doesn't present a pristine image that we can look at. And let's see, I think I can just share screen here and start. So once again, on my iPhone, I had an opportunity to watch my team win first place. Let me know if you can see the picture. You have a Milky Way core and Scorpio over a lonely road. So So the few pictures that I'll show tonight are, they're companions that we may not be thinking of in terms of, you have the night sky, you have the universe, and you've got Earth, and making the two fit as some sort of, as companions, are ways that you can share how the night sky looks, and how it looks to you when you're looking at it and you're sharing. To me, this is sharing what I see. I don't, I will look at compositional elements, like you've got the Rho Fuyuki complex over here. I've seen images where almost everything is blotted out except bright colors over here. Then you've got the Milky Way. I tend to go for slightly more detailed than realistic. Let the sky give me the photons and I capture it with similar, I'll capture it with a similar technique. So that way I can see the differences in the actual sky in the areas that I go. So for instance, David, if I come take an image near where you live, it'll look similar to this. But when I take the image back home in Michigan, some things might be missing, or there may be more clouds. I like to see those. To me, those are all companions in the sky. There's the parts that are from Earth, and then there's the parts in the universe that we can see. And I think of the two as companions, giving us a celestial view that's wonderful. You can only hope that there are beings that see that similar celestial view and can appreciate it. And so you've got a slight light dome, even though this is a Bortle 2/Bortle 1 site, you've got a light dome as your companion to the beginning of the southern bulge of the Milky Way here. You've got unlikely companions of earlier in the night, a dusk sky with the Milky Way starting up. Let's see, I wouldn't call it civil twilight, but close. Near the border of civil and nautical twilight, and the Milky Way shows up here. Unlikely companions in an image. Another similar image here. We'll move to here. We have we'll call it three galaxies in one, even though, so there's a full galaxy here with Andromeda. You've got the little speck of light that is M33, and you've got the arm of our galaxy, the northern part, with this, which I believe is the northern coal sack. I'm gonna, I'd love to look that up. There's a lot here that that you can see, and there's a couple of companions, double cluster, 2 NGC open clusters heading for us, and the Heart and the Soul nebulae, which are companions and are often imaged together, sometimes one or the other, but a lot of times these things are imaged by themselves together, and you can see just how small they appear when you compare to the rest of them to the rest of the of the universe, the part of the universe we can see. It's a lot bigger than just the simple, just these objects out here. So let's see more images. This is a view I don't get to see very often. And there's another companion I'll point out. This dark nebula up here, which is in Hercules, and the rest of the galactic plane with this rift. It's something I've come to enjoy looking at. And if I can get this dark nebula sharp enough, I figure I've done a pretty good job of imaging. And not far from the dark nebula, if I can continue to zoom in, Altair and Tarzed and Barnard's E, companions that I look for. The sharper I get Barnard's E, the cleaner of an image that I feel I've got in the Milky Way photos. And those, I view those as companions, even though I'm sure all of these objects are light years apart. I still view them as companions. And when you line it up with the same lonely road going down here, you create this sort of tie-in with the landscape you're seeing on Earth. So now to the star party, people and the universe. And then over here, the same other part of the universe, and you've got mesas, and you got somebody imaging it over here, imaging a piece of it. They were going after the comet. I forget the name of the comet that was visible during this time in September that we were out at Okie-Tex. But that's what he was imaging. I was imaging the entire area of that part of the sky. It's a favorite part to look at. And you can, this image sort of depicts just how dark the sky looks to the human eye. And there's one for you, David. I am observing M33 at the very moment that I had my camera take this picture, and I stood still as long as I could. I think it was about a minute. And I like to consider the backdrop of the galactic center and any part of the Milky Way, the galactic arms, that I have a special companionship with it because I seek to image it as often as I can. But the rest of the night sky is important to me as well. And that I depict that here with me looking at a different galaxy altogether while the center of our galaxy is in the backdrop. And, that describes me and why I like being outdoors underneath the night sky. There are times I've looked around, been a little bit worried about my surroundings. And as soon as I look at the night sky, I feel safer. I feel like I know where I am. I'm a part of the universe. I'm looking at it. I instantly feel a wave of comfort. So no matter where I am, how dark and whether or not there's anything else there, I feel as though I belong as soon as I look up. If I can see any part of the stars, and especially if it's clear, I feel even more at home. Mm. And so, yep. And so this drawing to a close. There are only a couple more images, some unlikely, and in a lot of cases, maybe even unwanted companions. The rolling galactic arm, where we have Cygnus up here, we have Lyra, we have Aquila the Eagle, and we have AT&T, the glowing tower. I can watch YouTube at Okie-Tex, stream it pretty well because there's almost no such thing as off the grid anymore. And some of the light from that tower seems to be bleeding into this photo where I didn't have that light before. So unlikely companions, the night sky and the glow of cellular towers. Here's another, and the final list of unlikely companions, the Milky Way galactic plane showing up in the same sky that a bank of thunderstorm clouds, thunderheads, are showing up. Really beautiful, either one. I've had the photo critiqued to where a lot of photographers and many of you that are still watching may think there's too much going on. That seems to be sort of a sentiment of, when taking a photo, you want one subject. There's so much to see in the night sky. Sometimes you can't cover it in just one subject. A lot of folks will do that, but I don't call it I have not been diagnosed with ADHD, but I like seeing everything together. The unlikely companion of a thunderhead and our Milky Milky Way. This is an earlier image where it was beginning to come out, and I realized, oh wow, I may have a nice shot coming. And then I would later just take a number of shots and see what I could do. This time I used my tracker for the Milky Way, and it actually worked for the Thunderhead as well. And I was able to get some bolts of lightning in the Thunderhead and end up with a. Now, most would say this scene would be beautiful enough. And I have considered saying, well, I can crop the image to this. Nope, I like seeing everything. So that's where the image stands. But there's a number of possibilities. When you get an image, depending on what you want to show, especially if you want these lightning bolts to be more prominent, then yeah, you do this, you give it a little bit of ground, and you've still got then you decide, okay, I'm going to cut this off right here, or no, I'm going to bring it in, so I cut it off at M17 and M16. When you know what's next, M11 is gone now, you cut it off at M11. When you know what it is you're looking at in the sky, it's not just the Milky Way. There's nebula, M8, M20, M6, M7, and then some of the NGC objects didn't catch this time, but that all belong to the Scorpion. There's the Scorpion itself. That's M4, Messier 4, this little dot right here. There's another little dot there's another smaller globular cluster, I think 6327, is near Antares over here. This dust lane that appears to reach right into this part of Scorpion. These dust lanes, I know there's one called the Pipe that's in here. There's one called the Snake. And, there's even this feature, this H alpha feature right here, sort of sitting where this Crazy Horse Nebula, as it's called, that's a part of the whole structure. And, all of this 30,000 light years away, and yet in our field of view, a lightning bolt, flashes of lightning are going on in our same field of view. To me, that's remarkable. Unlikely companions, but something to think about. If you have the opportunity to image the night sky, there are a lot of possibilities that you can look at, and not just, the Milky Way becomes a backdrop for some fantastic landscape area. Now, there's nothing wrong with doing that. I've done that here, back here somewhere. Sunsets. I like sunsets. And somewhere in there, there's going to be a light tower. That's what I'm looking for. Here we go. That one's for you, David.
Oh, that's
beautiful.
Awesome. Look at the arch of the Milky Way over it.
Yep. Beautiful. Over the light tower. I was standing in Lake Michigan right now, as another imager has shown, that arch can now be imaged to the west over the lake. So I can turn around, stand on the other side of this light tower, and do another arch if I get a clear night and can afford the 6 hours total plus time to take the image. So this is one where you would say, well, it's a beautiful image. There, I think maybe it shows up a little bit better now. To me, it was an opportunity to capture, because of the way panoramas work and the way that, the curvature, the seeming curvature of space itself. You watch this rise and you watch it roll in the sky, and it appears to be going around in a celestial curve. But imaging over a lighthouse is a beautiful thing, and it also helps you learn how to try different things with different lenses. This is for those that know, doing astrophotography with various lenses. This was done with an 85 millimeter lens. And watch what happens when you go into M8 and then you see little M20 up there as well.
Yeah.
The detail, if you get enough photons, your detail, body's window right here, this region, and you look it up, that region that's in the center, that little brighter region, was a subject of study in looking for exoplanets. And I forget the name of the study, but that region was selected because all this dust lane that you see here was not in that part. Body's window is technically somewhere down in here, but this region, I think and it may just be the whole region. But it's interesting to find those facts out about. You can see the butterfly right there. Even in a smaller setting, it shows up. There's your cat's paw and your lobster claw right there. And that's taken up north here on the west coast of Michigan. So I'll stop here, but let's see if I can unshare. Stop share. There we go. So, the truck, it sometimes takes just a willpower to go out there and see what the night sky brings you. A few images I took recently that I think I showed on the last Global Star Party, I took those images. It took me 2.5 to 3 hours to get there. And I stood there for about 15 minutes, 5 minutes taking photos, about 30 seconds finding M33 in binoculars, and watching the sky covered up for the rest of the time and remarking at how fast the sky got covered up by clouds. Sometimes even your forecast, something unexpected happens. It's supposed to be clear, then it's cloudy. That's just the way things go. You try again next time. Sometimes you get lucky. It's supposed to be cloudy. You go out anyway because you think it's going to be clear for a certain amount of time, and that may be all the time that you need. And it clears up. You end up with the only image in your astronomy group that wrote off the night because it was going to be too cloudy. So there's opportunity there when you enjoy the journey of capturing, and just you're capturing what you see, but it's all about the journey of learning the night sky. It's about being outside, being loving nature, not being afraid of nature when it's dark, and but being, still be safe. You can't be too reckless when it's dark. And if you're going to places, where you've got animals to deal with, and hopefully not wayward human beings, you don't want that. But when you've got animals to deal with, you have to be calm. You have to stay calm. And most of the time the animals don't come up, but you do have to be on guard, watching around and around you, and make sure you feel you're in a safe enough place to be taking those images, and you can end up with something beautiful. So Scott, David,
Right.
Marcello, if you're still there, with that, I will end my part of the Global Star Party. I think that takes us out because my buddy John isn't here this time, but I've got you all, so that's perfectly fine with me. And I am going to go ahead and finish putting gas in my vehicle so I can go home. But David, thank you it's good to see you here, to see some of these photos, David. I know most of the time either you've gone to go image or out, but it's nice to see you, Marcello. Thank you for staying. I owe you another image for Skies Up. I'm sure one or any of those images are available to you to use if you liked any of them. And Scott,
knocking on your door.
yeah, please do. I hope to get a couple more images in the cold as Orion rises higher and higher in the sky, and try and capture the beauty of the winter circle over whatever terrestrial area that I can find. And I
David,
look
did you
forward
want
to
to,
looking for it.
David, did you want
Adrian,
to say
there's something
something?
I wanted to sort of say at this point. One night I was listening to a local classical station, and they put on Mozart's Symphony Number 1 that he wrote when he was like 8 or 9 years old. And I thought, okay, if there's a boring, lousy piece of music, I'm about to hear it. And I listened to Mozart's First Symphony that he wrote when he was 8 or 9. And I thought, this guy is not capable. He couldn't write a bad piece of music if he tried, if he set his mind to it. And Adrian, you cannot take a lousy picture if you tried. God bless you, Adrian.
God bless you.
Tonight was truly, truly Mozart looking at these pictures. And thank you.
you.
Thank you
Thank you,
so much.
David. It's it's always an honor to you have someone like all three of you, especially you, my friend David, to have someone who loves the night sky the way you've taught me to love it. And you're still, I know it still surprises you that all of this came from an image of the Southern Cross, and I look back at the image and they're actually, the stars are starting to trail. And would I consider it a good image? Yes, because it was your image and it taught me that you could capture starlight with a camera. And that's the one thing that I love about night photography, and how it's a departure from photography as it has begun to be taught. Some of the online teaching teaches you the triangle of exposure, and starts teaching about composition. I'm blocking my own way here. It teaches composition, but to me, the sky gives you the composition. All you have to do is see it and then capture it when you see it. It's I have people from classical photography look at photos I've taken, and Scott, you've done this. You've noticed leading lines. I haven't really tried to do that. I see it now, and sometimes if I can see those leading lines with my eyes before I take the picture, then I will say, well, this is a good way to present it. But it isn't for the sake of the elements of photography. It's for the elements that are within us and are also in the night sky that I take the picture. It's for what I'm looking at. The subject is always important to me. And sometimes the subject might be a constellation sitting in a certain place. Imager may look at it and say, I don't, you need to move this here, or you should highlight this more. And they're talking from opinion of, this is what I would do if I were taking the photo. And the nice thing about the night sky, it's free for everyone. Go out there and take a look. And if you see something that really moves you and you want to capture it, you can go for capturing it.
The other
That
point
being said, go ahead.
the other point I wanted to make is that I really enjoy the fact that you're doing your presentation from your vehicle, because your vehicle is a part of you, and you're dressed
Yes.
to go observing. You're in your car, ready to go out to a dark sky someplace. And this is the feeling that I'm getting from the Global Star Party. I think the picture of you in your vehicle has captured that better than anything I've seen tonight.
Yes, and my companion, sometimes, if it's not the camera, it's just binoculars.
Yeah.
I meant to take a look at the moon to see if Lunar X and Lunar V are visible. In binoculars, it may not be as easy to capture. With my camera, I can take the photo and I can find out.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we're all always on this journey. And Scott, I know you started this a number of years ago. I think in response to the COVID, in response to COVID, and saying, well, how am I going to get people together when we're being encouraged, we're being encouraged to say, let's keep our distance until things are better. And even now we're still sort of fighting to, boldly state that things are better, but we're still kind of on alert with this,
Still, of course we are. Of course we are. But
Yeah.
the other thing is that we've brought astronomers and an audience from all around the world, and this is the only way to do it.
Yeah, and
is to do it
we
online
keep
like
doing
this.
it.
Yep.
Yeah,
And
we
keep doing
learn.
it. Yep.
Yeah, it's and I'll never say anything bad against the fact that we, as almost a globe, learn that video conferencing is a way for us to get together.
Yeah.
I can see David through video conferencing since I've been able to make it to Arizona, but I can still ingest, such kind compliments and continue going on because of a format like this. And it's, doubtless people that are watching. I've watched the chatter among those of you that are still watching. You all are together, even if it's just through chat, sharing your own experiences, this is how I do my photography.
Yep.
Even if you're out there saying, that might be nice, but my photography is sold for X, Y, and Z dollars. As long as somebody is more aware of the night sky from your work, and you've helped somebody appreciate that there's more to this life than themselves, then that's amazing. If you make a few bucks off your photo, that's great. I've made some money too, but it's definitely not the focus.
Keep buying
If it
lenses.
were, I'd be more broke than I am now. That's the truth. So yeah. So if that's got it, I'll let you, David Marcello, close it down.
Yep.
I will listen.
Let's say goodnight to our audience here. Thank you again for watching Global Star Party. You just watched the 139th Global Star Party with the theme of celestial companions, and we will we'll call it quits here. But we encourage you all to keep looking up, and we'll see you in January with the 140th Global Star Party. So
And
take
in the
care.
meantime, God bless you all and have a happy holiday.
That's right. That's right.
Happy Christmas
Happy
and
holidays
Happy
to
New
you,
Year.
David.
Thank you.
Feliz Natal e Feliz Ano Novo para todos.
David, I get a chance to tell you, I watched the funeral of your beloved
Good day,
Wendy.
everyone. This is David Levy.
Oh, this is you talking.
And I am holding the original Discovery films of our most important comet, Comet Shoemaker-Levy 9. These films were taken on the 23rd of March, 1993. Carolyn discovered the comet on these films 2 days later. And on, about 16 months after that, all of the fragments of this comet collided with Jupiter, giving humanity its first view of what happens when a comet hits a planet. And one of the exciting things about this is that when comets hit planets, they don't just drop dust. They also drop organic materials, carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and nitrogen, which eventually turn into proteins, amino acids, RNA, and finally, on one magic day, DNA. Comet impacts are really the first step in the origin of life. I'd like to invite all of you to come to the next Global Star Party. They are run by Scott Roberts of Explore Scientific and me. We co-host this program, and it's usually done on Tuesdays, and usually at 6 o'clock or so Central Time.
And so I hope to see you all there. My name is David Levy, and I hope to see you all at the very next Global Star Party. Thank you.
Come one, come all to the Southern Cross Astronomical Society's 2024 Winter Star Party, celebrating 40 years of stargazing, happening from February 5 through the 11th, 2024 on Scout Key in the beautiful Florida Keys. Get away from the cold and adjust your latitude underneath the pristine skies of southern Florida with breathtaking views of Eta Carina, the Jewel Box, the Southern Cross, Centaurus A, and of course, the magnificent Omega Centauri. Tickets will go on sale on or about October 1, 2023 at scaz.org. See you there!
Are your eclipse glasses safe for looking at the sun? Let's check to see if your eclipse glasses can handle the heat or if they need to stay inside. First off, never check your eclipse glasses with the sun. That's a good way to injure your eyes. Take your eclipse glasses and find a bright light, like a lamp or a flashlight. Hold your eclipse glasses up to the light and look through them. The light will appear extremely dim or not appear at all when looking through the glasses. For example, you should only be able to see the filament of a light bulb, but not the glow surrounding the bulb. Also, if your eclipse glasses have any marks or scratches on them, don't use them. If you have older eclipse glasses from a previous eclipse, give them a check to make sure they haven't been damaged or scratched. All safe eclipse glasses will meet the ISO 12312-2 standard. It's best to store eclipse glasses in a safe place where they won't become scratched or punctured. Remember, never look at the sun without eclipse glasses or a solar filter. Be safe and happy sun viewing, everyone.
Stargaze is on a mission to create smart, sustainable accessories to empower you to do more by using less. sustainability shouldn't be a barrier to tech. It should be seamlessly integrated with how we work, play, and live. That's why we're on a journey to create a suite of tech accessories where smart design and sustainability are inextricably linked. We're doing more, designing smarter, dreaming bigger, and using less. Introducing the EcoSmart range of bags and accessories, a collection of products that not only puts the planet and people first by using a host of eco-friendly innovations and materials, but enables you to do more with your device while protecting and empowering your future. It's our planet, your future. Together with Targus, you've got this.